You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
The wasteland is a post-apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, frozen atomic waste. From deep within the core, frozen atomic waste.
Hello and welcome to the 120th edition of the Fallout Feed. I am Andrew, joined this evening by Ray. Hello, Ray.
Evening, Andrew.
And a newcomer to the show. Hello, Will.
Good evening, Andrew. How are you?
How are you doing this evening, Will? Thank you for coming to the show this evening.
Excellent. Thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Glad you could join us. Oh, and Sarah popped in here. Sarah, how are you doing this evening? Hello.
Hello, how are you guys?
Oh, so good. Excellent.
Good.
Sarah, you were very excited to see that Will on the show when we were taking out names for your PC club. You're always fun interacting. You guys are PC buddies, right? You guys run around together every once in a while?
Every once in a while.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'm glad. So Fallout 76 here we're talking about this evening. We've got all sorts of feedback from the community, which you can find on facebook.com/a Skyrim Addict podcast, I believe. Oh, God, that's probably it. And
I think it's ASA podcasting.
Is it? It got changed? Okay.
Are we talking about Facebook?
Yes.
It's ASA podcasting.
All right. So look us up there on the Facebook. And we have a great community who have all sent us in some nice feedback about some Fallout 76 quests. And we're in episode, what are we in, 5 of the roundtable here. We'll be covering some quests, Signal Strength, Flavors of Mayhem, and Key to the Past. We have feedback this evening from John, Leon, Freighter, Steve, Lee, Beardy, Cy. Will has submitted as he's joining this evening. We've got Eddie and Phil submitted some here. Also, we have Alex reporting in with whatever that dumb Bethesda update column is called.
Iguana Bits blog.
That I never read. Yeah, the Iguana Bits blog.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll hear from Alex because he loves those updates. Also, great. We have an email from Clint that Ray will help us with later on in the show. Oh gosh, you guys play any Fallout this week? Ray, did you get to play anything, or you've been too busy?
No, actually, we had a little snafu in the Skyrim 1080 recording, so that freed me up to jump in with the PCers for a nice dash around the rolling hills.
I think I know what you're talking about, though, right? Are we playing taps for Colin's PC?
Yep. Sad day, but
moment of silence, everyone, please, in the community. Unless you're driving your vehicle right now, bow your heads. Silence. All right, thank you, Colin. We're very sorry to hear for your loss, sir.
But definitely had a blast. It was the first time that I actually experienced a griefer.
Really?
It is just now.
It started out as as kind of fun, but then it just it just didn't stop. So, but fortunately for me, it didn't really interrupt my fun. I was jumping off some giant structure, landing to my death multiple times. So Cobb was doing a little base jumping.
I don't understand. To avoid the person who was griefing you, or
no? I was already doing it when he got there.
Oh, you probably just thought, "What is this idiot doing? I might as well kill him anyway. Put him out of his own damage."
Well, there were a bunch of us, and everybody else was in power armor, so they're just jumping off, and I couldn't let them have all the fun. So I just dumped off all my junk at the nearest camp, and just started going for it. It was a blast because
Hmm.
you take an elevator up to the top of this structure. I don't remember even what it's called, but
Is that the elevator to the monorail thing?
Is
Yeah.
the monorail thing? The
Yep.
hoop?
Over
Yeah.
by where Christian and Phil have their camps?
exactly.
Oh, crazy.
That's
And
that's a fun jump.
yeah, it takes forever, and so it makes it so much more fun.
Do you have fear of heights or vertigo or anything like that?
No, not at all.
I never did when I was a kid, but as I've gotten older, I get a little bit of queasiness when I'm too high off the ground. Like not in an airplane or anything, just like
Mm-hmm.
the jump off of the bridge. Like I had goat legs and I was just testing it out. I know I've mentioned this on the show before, but like I jumped off that big ass green bridge and it made my stomach turn. It took so long falling. You know what I mean? Like I know this is a video game and I know it's not real, but still I was just like, oh God.
I get that too sometimes, but I like it.
I didn't get it jumping off the Prid window, but I feel like that should be a similar
Yeah.
height, you know? Is it
I
taller?
got
What
it
do you think?
I got it at the top of that tower in Boston where you go and save Strong. Oh wait, no. Maybe that's not the
No.
tower. Do you know what I'm talking about where we get the bobblehead that's right at the top of that tower? Where is that?
Is it the inside? Inside
It is.
tower?
I think it is inside the tower, but you can like jump out and then there's like a way around it because there's a dude with power armor inside. Anyway, somewhere over there, I got the same feeling. Like I remember like barely tiptoeing out to the edge because I was so afraid I was going to fall before I realized like this is a video game. It doesn't matter. But it felt really real. And I was like anxious. You know what I'm saying? Is that what you're talking about? Like it feels real.
Yeah, especially if you do the railroad stuff and you put the Mila transmitters out. Like I've fallen off of those,
Mhm.
so it makes me super nervous. I always
Yeah.
go down and I crouch and I go really slow now because
Mm-hmm.
gosh, the fall off of some of those buildings is I don't know. It's real life out there, guys. It has. I'm having real physical reactions to this game.
It feels real.
Yeah, definitely. Have any of you guys played the VR? Speaking of real stuff, has anybody played?
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
VR makes me nauseous.
I've never even tried it ever. It makes me think of Lawnmower Man. Remember that old movie?
Crickets. No, I don't know.
You guys are killing me. Stephen King short story turned into a horrible movie about virtual reality and a guy named Job who takes technology and turns into a psycho and kills everyone. Come on.
No,
Wah,
sorry.
wah.
I vaguely remember it, but
Nice.
it's been a
Thank you.
long time.
Thank you. Come on. That's good. Points for Will. Thank you. Good job.
Good job, Will.
All right. So Ray, you got to play. You were jumping and killing yourself a bunch. Sarah, did you join him in his death?
So I wasn't there during the death jumping, but I was on during all of our what did we kill? A bunch of scorched beasts, and it was really fun. Ray murdered me point blank in the face.
She begged for it.
Was
I
there
did.
a ransom involved or something?
I did. So I accidentally became wanted because I shot one of Phil's trees and I wasn't on his team. Like I was trying to kill a mole rat. Yeah. And
One
I
of
shot
his mute fruits.
one of his mute fruits.
That is bogus right there.
Yeah. Do you want to hear something even stupider? So I became wanted. I was like, whatever, I don't care. So then I walk over to Christian's pad, his camp, and I immediately walk in line with the turrets, and his turrets killed me. I guess because I was wanted. So I'm just like walking along, minding my own business, and all of a sudden I'm dead. So then I'm like, okay, well, awesome. Like I don't have to deal with it being wanted anymore. So then I respawn, and I just respawn next to Ray because he was there, and I picked his name. And I respawn, and I'm still wanted. So at that point, I was like, well, Ray, do what you do best, buddy.
Yeah, good luck later.
He enjoyed it. He laughed the entire time.
Yeah, so just busted out the baseball bat and
Whack.
Whack. Yep.
It was good times.
Will, did you get to play any Fallout this week, sir?
Yeah, a little bit, or most nights I try to at least get in a little hour or so. I feel like I can't even go to bed if I don't get some in.
Yeah. Last week Keith wrote in, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I don't remember exactly, but we talked about sort of our Fallout 76 routines, what we do when we log on and log off and stuff. Do you have a little bit of a routine or a loop that you like to run, and if you need to go find certain components, or what's your
Yeah,
sort of style there?
I think so. I mean, it's real easy to fall into a routine, in the game. Usually, I guess when I log on, it kind of depends on what happened just when I logged off, because there's only two ways I end my game pretty much. It's one of them is I go through all the inventory management kind of stuff, de-weight as much as I can, and then I put my character into bed. For some reason, I know it doesn't really matter, but I like to close. I just like the closure of it.
I wish that if you put them to bed, when you logged in, they woke up in bed too. I don't like that they put you in your camp area. You know what I mean? I wish you dropped it right where you were.
Yeah, exactly. They really need the camp fast travel mats, but
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the one way I log off. The other way is pretty much I'm going through perk cards, and I'm really indecisive, so I'm always trying to figure out what card I want to grab and all this, and then I just fall asleep with the game on. So if that happens, then the next morning or when I log on the next time, that's when I go through and do all the, I take an inventory assessment, see if I need to make any soups or dump weight, craft ammo, things like that.
Excuse me. So that's great. What you mentioned, dump weight and all that. What sort of components are you mostly picking up? What play style is your character? What things are you looking for when you're out running around?
I guess I'm not really sure. It's just there's all sorts of things that can weigh you down. I guess usually it's just various weapons and things like that. I've been trying to get some better legendary weapons and stuff, so I'll get rid of those.
Do you discriminate with what kind of weapons you do pick up?
No, not really. I like to. I'm one of those hoarders. Also, I kind of take everything and figure I can, non-legendary ones you can scrap, and I can always use whatever supplies and all that, and then just break it all down. If I have too much of something, bulk it up and sell it to a vendor.
I can't tell if this philosophy is sound, but I'm starting to develop a sort of a thought process here where I'm only picking up the weapon that I am using to try to break those down to get those mods. I'm not actually picking up other weapons more. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense or not. Shouldn't I always be picking up the other ones to learn those mods too?
I would think so, just because I've learned so far my kind of play style changes a little bit as I get higher and higher level, and I'm start experimenting with other weapons, and then it's nice if you've broken those down to have those mods or have learned them already.
Yeah, I see the advantage of actually picking everything up, but
it takes a lot of time though.
It does take a lot of time. It makes your trips to the stash box or to find the dash to find your stash a lot more frequent. You know what I mean? Or a workbench to break everything down. Now, another thing you had mentioned frustrations with that Ray had just mentioned earlier was griefing. Will, could you mention a little bit about your experience with that recently?
Yeah, well, I haven't really had so many problems with people just griefing me, coming up and trying to kill me and all that, but I have had several camp attacks now, 3 of them just where two were pretty much all near total losses, and then this most recent time, it was kind of maybe it wasn't too bad, but still, because I just logged off immediately. But it's something that's been going on, and it gets frustrating. Like this last time, I said it wasn't very bad, but just the fact that it had happened to me a couple of times recently, it really gets to you.
I know it's becoming a huge frustration with a lot of people in the group. I haven't experienced it much, again, but I haven't really built. There are 0 structures on my grounds. There is only the crafting stations and a few water purifiers. So I haven't had my stuff destroyed, but I can understand how extremely frustrating that would be. I know that a lot of people in our group have started experiencing that with greater and greater frequency the last few weeks, especially.
Yeah, it really does seem like people are getting kind of just bored, like that have finished the game already, and don't really have very many quests to do, and so they're just looking for new ways to waste time or whatnot. Demeanor people, I guess.
I'm ready for private servers, and they need to get rid of that whatever the card is that lets you demolish camps fast.
Wrecking ball.
Wrecking ball. They need to get
Yeah.
rid of that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I hate that card. I assume it's there for workshops, though. So
Yeah,
I'm sure you can contest workshops that are built up.
But you got pacifist mode turned on. It should not apply. You
Right.
shouldn't.
Well, especially at your camp.
At your camp, anywhere out in the field, if someone has pacifist mode turned on, not only should they not do damage to you, you should not be able to do damage to them or any of their things. I mean, that just makes sense. That's logic. That's ridiculous that you can be drawn into PvP or people can damage your stuff if you don't have that part of the game turned on. That's just dumb.
Right. Yeah. I agree with what Alex has been trying to promote, where just hopefully when they add the survival mode, they can get rid of camp destruction and things like that in the adventure mode that we tend to play in, and let the survival one just kind of be a free for all where they can do whatever they want.
Can you mention any more about that?
No, I don't know really too much about it.
What Alex was saying specifically?
Well, just that this is because when they come out with the survival mode, that's going to bring the little PvP guys over there, and in the adventure mode, we're not really looking for that. So they could just kind of remove that component from adventure mode, where our camps would be safe. Yeah.
Speaking of going up against each other, Steve, our good buddy, has been mentioning wanting to try out the Hunter versus Hunter Hunted. I think that's what it's called. That mode, which I haven't tried yet. I don't know if anybody in the group has. But the NCAA tournament, basketball tournament, will be coming up in about 6 weeks. So we were thinking about setting up an 8-man tournament, 8-person, sorry, ladies, an 8-person tournament for each platform. If we can find 8 people on each platform who want to get involved and try to do a tournament, sort of a battle to the death till there's one left, King of the Hill style battle mode Hunter Hunted tournament. We're still trying to figure out exactly what mode that'll take. It'll depend on how many people we find interest. So if you want to participate in something dumb like that, please.
Sounds fun.
Speaking of, tying our show to other events, Sarah, congratulations on a very successful Galentine's Day episode.
Oh, well, I had nothing to do with the planning of it, but thank you so kindly. Really, it was your idea, Andrew, and it was fantastic.
Oh, I really had
so
nothing to do
thank
with
you.
it. I just
well,
said,
thank you for coming up with it, the idea at least.
Ladies, would you like to do a Valentine's Day special? And let's rip off Leslie Nopes.
100%.
Call it Galentine's Day. Galentine's Day is a day for ladies to bond with ladies. And I don't know. The show is just really, I had an amazing time. It's almost 3 hours long. It felt like it was 15 minutes. It just flew by. You guys have such a good flow, and it was such a good show. I suggest anyone, if you're listening to this episode, you skipped over the Galentine's Day episode, please go back, listen to it. There's plenty of Fallout talk on it and other talk as well.
Oh, yeah, totally. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really good. I listened.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I listened to it today. I really enjoyed it. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we can make this at least semi-regular and get all the ladies together for more Galentine. You don't even have to call it Galentine's Day, just to have your own thing. I just thought that was, according to Twitter, Galentine's Day is not clever, according to people who have opinions on Twitter. So. But I thought it was a great episode, a lot of fun. Everyone go check it out. And then I'm thinking, I hope this isn't racist in some way. All the Irish people in the group, get a hold of me. Let's go ahead and put a Patrick's Day, St. Patrick's Day episode together. All you Irish folks. Hey, we actually might have real Irish listeners. We don't even have to have just like the American ones with Irish descent, but actual Irish people. Do we have Irish listeners? Do we know? There's got to be someone from Ireland, right?
Isn't Beardy Si?
Oh God, I thought he was Scotland. Is he Ireland? Oh God,
I don't remember. I thought he said Belfast.
He's not Welsh, is he? Oh God.
I'm not going to venture a guess, but I think he's living in New Zealand right now, isn't he?
Oh my
or am I thinking of somebody else?
How many fucking expats are there in New Zealand? Half of our listeners live in New Zealand.
I don't know. It's hard for me to keep straight everyone that lives in different places, so I might be very wrong. And if I am, Beardy Si, I love you, and I'm sorry. Maybe it's Mark that's living in New Zealand.
I was just about to say, I think it's Mark with a W that lives in.
You are 100% correct.
And Steve.
Gosh dang it, you guys.
Steve, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just starting to get the time zones down, okay?
Hey, I'm bad. I'm so bad with accents that I couldn't even tell you by listening to his accent where he's from. And I love his accent. I just listen to his feedback over and just be like, oh, sigh.
I wish I had a cool accent.
Yeah. Do you think American accents are cool at all to Europeans, or do they just laugh at us for our idiotic way we speak?
I know that people do not appreciate the vocal fry that comes along with being a female in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way that we end all of our sentences with a question.
With a question?
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Hey, Rebecca, get back to us. Do American guys' voices do it for you? I'll take that.
Where is this podcast going?
We're going to feedback.
It took a weird left turn.
We got 10 hours of feedback to get through, so we should get into that. John, is this John's first feedback? This might be John's first feedback. Hey, John, thanks for hopping onto the show, and let's get it in.
Hello, this is John, and I'll be introducing my first ever roundtable character for the Fallout Feed podcast. I'm a little late to the game here, so I'm going to get caught up, but I'm still going to follow the schedule, keep things coherent, and more so to make it easier for myself to be able to break it up into smaller segments. So this first installment will be my character role and introduction. So my character is Elliot. She's a female. Her camp zone is the forest. Her faction is the Free States. Her mutation is herbivore. And her workshop is the Red Rocket Megastop. So Elliot's perks are Scattershot, Concentrated Fire, Cannibal, which I'm going to switch out because it doesn't go very well with the herbivore mutation, Bodyguards, Contractor, Born Survivor, and Caps Collector. Her special stats are all right in the middle, 7, 8s, and 9s, with the exception of Strength, which is a low of 6, and Agility, which is a high of 10. And now for Elliot's background. She was a teenager. She was 16 years old when the bombs fell, and she went into the Vault 76 with her mother. Her mother was a research biologist for West Tech who worked in Washington, D.C., and commuted on a daily basis from their house in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. Elliot's fondest memories of her childhood and up into her teenage years were the summers that she spent with her Aunt Beth and Uncle Caleb. The Carsons had a cabin in the woods near Dolly Sods Wilderness. The Carsons were members of the Free States movement. And at Elliot's age, before she went into Vault 76, she was old enough to be politically cognizant, and she was actually very politically active. Much to her mother's chagrin, who is a research scientist for West Tech, supported Vault Tech in the government and their initiatives. Elliot very much leaned towards the Free States movement way of thinking and was a very big supporter of Senator Sam Blackwell before the war. So when Elliot gets out of Vault 76, she's going to be interested in trying to find her aunt and uncle, because her aunt and uncle and many of their friends were actually building bunkers, preparing for a day just like what happened. So she feels there's a very good chance that her relatives were still alive. Now, as far as how I'm going to build and play the character and what kind of perks besides the assigned perks, I think with the variety across the board of the stats and without any really particularly high stat, I'm going to try to play kind of a jack of all trades character. And what I'm going to do is take the first rank of each perk of several different weapons. For example, shotgunner, intermediate shotgunner, master shotgunner, and maybe the same with pistols and rifles. Maybe heavy weapons instead of shotguns. I think they're both in the same thing there. Maybe both, and then maybe try to build around perks to both support those as well as kind of overall survival perks because of Elliot's Free State's survivalist background, because she did learn many survival techniques from her aunt and uncle, which spent summers with them, from building shelters and building fires and planting and tending crops to hunting and butchering and preparing your own food. So more than many of the residents of Vault 76, who she considers a bunch of egghead scientists, she feels she's ready for the apocalypse that's awaiting them outside. Thank you for listening. Part 2 will be upcoming shortly.
Hey, great job. Thanks so much there, John. Perfect job.
Awesome.
I'm sending in feedback and nailed it. Out of the ballpark. Good job, John. Thanks. He mentioned having trouble swapping out that carnivore card because it probably wouldn't work too well having herbivore and cannibal and herbivore mixed together. Probably, yeah. Unless you're doing it in Skyrim and you're cannibalizing Spriggans, that's there ain't no vegetables in those dead bodies on the ground. There. Good job, John. Thanks for your feedback there. Introduction to your character. Really looking forward to the continuing story. Keep them up. Keep coming on in. Next up on the list, we have Leon. Oh gosh, where is it? I didn't drop it in here. Yes, I did. Here. Leon, and there might be a little bit of sad news here, but we'll see if he mentions it here in the feedback itself.
Daryl's diary, entry 6. So I'm headed to the top of the world. On one of the maps, it looks like some sort of tourist attraction or something back before the war. I got close and my radio started picking up a signal. And maybe I was wrong. Apparently, not everybody's dead. There's a lady at the top of the world. When I got up to the elevator, she said that she would not let me up until I helped her out. So of course I said I would. I mean, I like her voice. Hope she's cute. But reminds me of Rapunzel, the old story.
That's
Rapunzel, let down your hair. Only this time it's Rose, let down your elevator. So I have to go and collect a few items, search for a transponder to help boost her signal. She's got an interesting personality. I really like it. Note to self, I need to look up, see if I can find an old world tuxedo or something. Oh wait, no. Maybe that'd be too, old worldy. I need to go with a more modern look, like a combat armor look. Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, definitely want to impress. So I have to find the transponder and fix it, and then put it together, put it on a radio array that she mentioned. So I'm going to do that. But I don't know. I had to think about it. Tuxedo or combat armor, which would be better? I might even need to trim the beard a little, see if I can get my knife out and make myself more presentable. I mean, it's the first non-76er that I've ever met. I have to put on a good show. I mean, maybe we'll get along. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? I think that'd be awesome. Yeah, that's a good idea. A robot. She's a freaking robot. You know why? Because everybody's dead. Because they're always dead. Everybody's dead. I hate this. The only people out here that are actually alive are 76ers, and they're mostly morons. I'm so fed up with this. So now the robot wants me to go and help her rebuild her files by trying out different tactics from different former groups. She wanted me to make friends with a death claw. That's ridiculous. So I just killed the death claw. Anyways, and then how did she know I was a cannibal? I don't get that. But she acted all like high and mighty when I was like, I don't mind eating the ghoul. So whatever. I'm gonna put a bullet in that robot's head if she don't quit yakking at me. When I thought she was a lady, I kind of liked her voice, but now it just is annoying. So entry. I forgot to date the last one. Entry 7. This would be entry 7, yeah. So I tried out her tests, and now she wants me to go collect key fragments from different gang leaders. So I guess that's my next chore that I have to do. I don't know. I'm so fed up with a lot of this that it's just.
Uh-oh. Hello?
Daryl.
Hello?
Daryl? Uh-oh. I think we need another moment of silence.
Oh, man.
Daryl? No. Daryl, please, wake up. Daryl, buddy. I have a sad email to read from Leon. Hey, Andrew, you can read this if you want. This is going to be my final feedback for the season for the roundtable. Mainly, I'm just too fed up with the camp griefing. I don't have a lot of time to play in any one session. So if I get up my camp and it gets hit, it ruins that night and the next if I have to go farm materials to fix my camp. If Bethesda ever gets around to private servers, or maybe makes camps immune to damage if the owner is in pacifist mode, I'll swing back. But otherwise, I'm taking a hiatus from 76, so the shot at the end of my feedback was some griefer taking Daryl out. Still going to be listening to everyone else's adventure, though, via Con Dios. Via Con Dios, that makes me think of King of the Hill. Anybody watch King of the Hill? No. Crickets again. All my references are really nailing it out of the park for you guys. I'm sad to see you go, Leon, but I understand the frustration and griefing. I don't know if there's anything. Is there anything the little guy can do to take a stand against it? What sort of thing can we do to prevent that from happening? Is there anything we can do until Bethesda creates private servers and such?
Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, they can destroy your camp so quick. Like that when mine got destroyed that one time, it was just like they were hitting it with the orbital strike missiles and stuff, and it was within seconds my entire camp was gone. So.
Oh.
That gets super frustrating if you have to rebuild that over and over,
Yeah, especially if you don't have a lot of time to play as it is.
Yeah, you get 15 minutes, and I've got a kid. I get 15 minutes at the end of the evening sometimes if I'm lucky to play. That's that's what you get. And you can't do much against the level 250 guys who come around trying to swing their stuff at you.
I do like. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, just put the camps in pacifist mode.
Right.
It shouldn't be that hard. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but come on, y'all, get it together.
You can tell they really want this PvP to be a main part of everyone's thought process in the game. When all along, if you've been a Fallout player, you would just want to play by yourself. Most of us, we like teaming up and having fun, jumping around with each other, but we do a lot of solitary play. A lot of people in our group do. So that's how we've been taught to play Fallout all these years. And then to all of a sudden to make the PvP portion of it sort of, it almost feels like it's not voluntary to escape it. You will be subjected to this no matter. If you want to play this game, you will be subjected to this aspect. Which I mean, I hope at some point there's a remedy for that. It's just really sad to see Leon go. He's one of my favorite to play with online. Whenever I see Leon, I always jump in his server immediately and we run around together. He's always really fun. I'm really sad to see you go, Leon. I hope you hurry back, buddy. So let's continue on with Freighter. I haven't heard you for a long time, Mr. Freighter. Thank you for calling in, sir.
Hello, ASAP crew. Freighter here. And I'm mainly here to apologize for the complete lack of feedback coming from me lately. I think the last feedback I did was when the 76 beta first ended, which is what, November? Anyway, yeah, I've been pretty damn busy. So I have been playing mainly on the PC. I do get to play once every week or so on Xbox. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the game. I don't have any major problems, but I really just can't seem to get into the storyline at all, which is my biggest issue with the feedback. I guess mainly just, well, I don't know, everybody seems to think it's about having the characters in the game being standing upright humans instead of robots and holotapes. I don't know if it's that. I think it's just because I'm having so much fun with everything else that part is kind of irrelevant. Honestly, though, when it comes down to it, the most fun I'm having with the game is just forgetting about all of that crap and just meeting up with a few people and causing some anarchy in West Virginia. And there's no lack of that. My friends list on both Xbox and PC are both huge, so I have no limit of people to play with. It's just time that limits me now. So yeah, anyway, thanks to all the people I have been able to have fun with, and to everyone else, I'm sure I'll see you in the wasteland one of these days. Thank you.
I hope so, Freighter. Every time I fucking try to meet you, you ghost me, you son of a bitch. And then you say, oh, I don't know. It was my kid or something, maybe. I don't know. I'm from Canada. I don't know. So,
you know what it is? He's hopping on the Xbox and realizing that all the cool people play PC.
That can't be. So that's an impossibility. But the
he played with us. He played with us on Sunday. Actually,
Did he ghost you on Sunday? Proof.
Well, I take a screenshot next time, and then I'll take a picture of a newspaper from today, and then I'll take a screenshot. Something I don't know, and then he'll be like, "It was my kid." I promise. Hey. All right. Thank you, Freighter, for writing in. Sorry to give you a ribbing there. Good to hear from you, buddy. I hope you hope you find some more time freed up. There's a bunch of crazy windstorms and flooding and shit. Everything's still cool up there, man. Your restaurant's still afloat. I mean, not float. That's a bad. Sorry, my bad.
Freudian slip.
Phrase there. Yeah, my bad. Let's go ahead and say hi to Steve. Oh, we're talking about Steve just a minute ago. Hey, buddy.
Kia ora, Steve here with my feedback for Gouverneur Morris. So you haven't heard from Gouverneur Morris the 10th in a bit, but Sarah encouraged me to make sure to send some feedback in.
Good job.
He'd been busy leveling his way through Appalachia, mostly solo, but with some help from his mates in the PC chat. I play mostly nights, and I think most of you North American folks are asleep. But like I said, not totally alone. Some big shout outs to Freighter, Sarah, Phil, Lee, and Ray, and some others too. And Craig and Clint. And yeah. So level 50, hit it last night with Freighter's help. And now to start working on getting some of those cards that I want. Level 50 and still learning things, particularly from you folks on the podcast, like fusion cores. I started wearing power armor. I'm rocking a level 35 and 45 set of T51B, and I didn't know that power plant workbenches gave so many fusion cores. Just this week, I learned that you get quite a few. I think 8 an hour or something. Then once I heard on the podcast that I had to take a power plant workbench and I had to figure out where and what resource thingy gave you the cores. So yeah, my weapons that I'm using right now are Civil Unrest, the shotgun. It grants the user 10 AP when equipped. Woo! I guess it's a bonus, but it's just a good weapon, and it doesn't take a whole lot to repair it. I don't have any perk cards to modify weapons like Gunsmith, so it would be nice to upgrade it at some point. I used the All Rise Super Sledge, which has a 90% weight reduction, which is awesome. I would love it if the Kami Whacker had some sort of the same sort of damage. I would totally use it. I would like it in general if there was some sort of damage equalization amongst the weapons, so that you could use any weapon that you want without worrying that you're, not using the best weapon for damage. Anyone can get those two named weapons I mentioned. You just do the associated quest lines. Google it. You'll see they weren't that hard. I did them, I don't know, level 25 and 30 or something like that. I picked up a junkie sledge at one point, but I never get addicted. I use chems, but I don't know why. They just don't get me addicted. Well, shit, maybe I've got chem resistant on. I don't know. Some of my memorable moments would be mostly just different times, slowly going through the wilderness by myself and seeing what I can discover. The South Savage Divide comes to mind over by that vault. I spent some time just roaming around there. Not a whole lot of places to discover, but I just enjoyed wandering around the wasteland. I went into my first nuke zone the other night. It seems like over by Watonga is the most popular after they nerfed White Springs. So I headed over there just to check it out, and I was being chased by a Scorch Beast, and then I ran into the nuke zone, and then there's another Scorch Beast in there as well. So I had two of them going after me. Well, totally outclassed and with no one around, I died and respawned out of there. I didn't lose anything, though, because I'd already dropped my junk. That was fun, though. I'd like to spend more time in there checking that out. My assigned workbench was Gorge Junkyard, which is awesome because when I was doing the excavator armor, I needed black titanium scraps, and that I learned a lot just going back and setting up that workbench area again over and over again to mine titanium for me. Whenever I had some playtime, I'd go over there first, and I just kind of used it to get familiar with that feature of the game. Everybody should take a workbench at one point or another. Fun perk cards I have and use are Last Laugh is one. I always keep that one on share. So if you're teamed up with me, then surprise! If you die, you're dropping a grenade. And also, if you have like equipped a pulse grenade, you'll drop a pulse grenade. If you have regular grenades, you'll drop a regular grenade. And when I was hitting level 49 and 50, I put my last 2 points into perception, and I took Fire in the Hole card, which gives you the arc for your grenades and lets you throw them further. So that one, game changer. It's awesome. I'm always going to want those. Here, a little bit of real world stuff. a couple of interesting facts about the real founding father, Gouverneur Morris. He suffered from a couple of physical impairments. When he was home from school at age 14, he upset a kettle of boiling water on his right side, burning his arm so badly that the doctor feared gangrene. The arm was saved, but one man who saw it or heard of it described the limb as fleshless. Later in life, he was mounting a carriage in haste when the horses started up, and his left foot was caught in the spokes of the wheel, and the ankle was mangled. The doctors who attended him, his own being out of town, removed the leg below the knee. When his own doctor returned, he said that the leg could have been saved. So, Gouverneur had a peg leg that he used, but his injuries apparently never slowed him down. He danced and rode and sailed all his life and pursued other sports. Quite the Romeo, he was known for his affairs with married women. It's rumored that he lost his leg running from an angry husband. So those founding fathers up to no good. So hey everybody, thanks for listening, and I will see you in the wasteland.
Hey, thank you, Steve.
Awesome.
Wars. You guys use power armor. Ray, you don't. Obviously, jumping off and dying over and over again. I also do not use power armor at all. Sarah, do you ever hop in there?
I do. I've been using it a bunch lately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, tell me about your set.
Spiffy set.
Yeah, it's super spiffy. Eddie gave it to me. I didn't even have to do anything for it. He's just so nice.
You guys have an Alex over there in the PC group who just runs around and gives people stuff all the time?
Yeah, we have a few actually. We have a few. So I'm very, very lucky, and I love running around in it, except I never have fusion cores. So one of these days, Eddie said he's going to teach me how to power up Poseidon in a short amount of time and make some fusion cores.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I will never mess with that, I don't think. I was going to say, hey, Sarah, tell me all about your power armor. Do you know what model it is and stuff? But that, you'd say some numbers to me that don't mean anything because I have no idea what the hell the numbers are.
I don't even know what it is. That's like asking me about cars.
Yeah, me too.
I realize I'm on a podcast about Fallout and I should probably know this information, but
I've thought about that many times. How that's not ironic is not the right word. Just how weird it is that the epic image, the icon, the thing that is on every front of every Fallout game is the power armor helmet.
Yeah, 100%.
And how I don't use it. Most of the people in the game I know don't use it. Like it's really funny that like it is the thing. But it seems like 76, since there's that whole danger PvP aspect, a lot more people use it than I was aware of, actually.
Will, do you use power armor?
I do not.
Okay.
Only unless, I absolutely have to in a blast zone or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually even had a cool glitch about a week ago where, for whatever reason, I wasn't taking any radiation damage, so I was able to go into a nuke zone without the power armor.
That's nice.
Yeah, and because I use an unarmed character most of the time, the Deathclaw Gauntlet, it's pretty awesome. You can't use those in power armor, so my build isn't really conducive to it normally.
Yeah, I hate that. I like the unarmed, and I use the gauntlets. I switched from Mole Miner to Deathclaw recently, but you can't really use those in power armor, which is really shitty. I think, especially the power fist. Why can't you use a fucking power fist in power armor? That is your punch. You should be able to have a mod. Is there a mod? Can you make a power armor, power fucking fist mod on your power armor? Because if you don't, that's fucking stupid.
Right, yeah, I don't know of one. It does seem like an obvious attachment, though, to go on a power armor.
Yeah, the only power armor I know about is, and I hardly ever whip it out, but it's the excavator. I just think it looks really nice. It's a really, I like that one. And someone was saying that you get extra mining bonuses with the, I didn't even realize that. With the excavator power armor, if you wear that down to the glassed cavern to go ultracite mining or whatever, you get like extra percentage of ultracite, I think, or something.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It is excavator.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That would make it useful.
Yeah, I was sad. I
Ray's
scrapped
finding it
all
useful. You scrapped it?
Yeah. Just because, it's, like I said, weight management gets difficult
Wow.
sometimes, and I was just, I'm not going to use it, so I let it go. But I was a little sad because sometimes I do want the extra carry weight, and it would be nice to mine the
Carry
extra
weight,
resources.
yeah. I can't wait till they allow us to have, pets that we can load down with.
Oh my gosh.
Gonna get like a cow that'll follow me around or something. A pack Brahmin will add carry weight. You could get a dog that'll have 100 extra carry weight, or a pack Brahmin will have 400 extra. Get yourself a tame a rad stag to do it for 200 or something. Come on, that'd be a fun little addition, right?
And no one's going to be able to play on your server because you're going to keep crashing it because you're going to figure out how to get 300 of them to follow behind you.
Well, I mean, that's not my problem. That's the other 23 people who want to try to play Fallout.
Attack Brahmin, attack!
Yeah, get him. Go get him, buddy. Moo. It'd be like Graham. They're like, okay, Moo Moo.
Yeah.
Good boy, Moo Moo. All right. Lee sent us in some feedback. Let's go ahead and check in with Lee. Hi, buddy.
Greetings, Fallout Feed guys and gals. This is Lee Benjamin with Responders Ordeal. Raider Rose's first task for Loner was to find the plans and parts to provide a signal amplifier to boost her signal throughout Appalachia. Once that was done, Rose's radio signal could be clearly received throughout most of West Virginia. Rose wanted someone to test the various tactics that were used by the 5 legendary raider gangs of Appalachia, all of which were now gone. Rose talked incessantly about the raiders and getting the band back together so that she could impose her insane ideas about raising a raider army and making West Virginia a raider heaven. Loner realized that Rose's insanity was the most dangerous kind because Rose was smart and had a plan. It was around this time that Loner decided to move her camp to one of the small streams to the east of the top of the world in an area called the Savage Divide. With a new camp and a brand new water purifier, Loner was planning for a long stay in the area. Rose wanted Loner to test each gang's methods to see which was the most effective. The first gang was the Cutthroats. Rose told Loner where to find and modify a syringer rifle. She told her to inject a Yaogwai, a mutated bear, with Karma, a drug which would make it insanely powerful for 60 seconds, then incredibly weak. Loner found a rock by an overlook and managed to inject the bear and stay away from it long enough to kill it. The second gang were the Trappers. Here she needed to use an explosive bait on any creature. She found another Yaogwai and shortly blew it up. The third gang, the Diehards, were strangely sedate for raiders. Rose's task was to befriend a Deathclaw, a tactic which didn't work, but the attempt did get Rose's respect. After trying to befriend the Deathclaw, a tough fight, Loner did kill it. The fourth gang, the Blackwater Bandits, were master thieves, and Rose wanted Loner to steal something from a super mutant camp. Her plan to sneak in ended when a mutant hound found her and attacked. She had to kill the mutants to steal their stuff. The fifth gang were the Gourmands, who were cannibals, and Rose's task was to kill a feral ghoul, and if so inclined, eat the corpse. Loner was not so inclined. After these ridiculous tasks, Raider Rose begrudgingly admired her efforts and gave her some supplies for her next task. And the keys to the Raiders' stash by locating the 5 gang leaders, or whatever might be left of them. She had to recover each of the 5 keys, as it would take all 5 of them to open it. Loner hoped that this would end Rose's task list. The first marker Rose put on her Pip-Boy led Loner to Blackwater Mine. On her way there, she encountered a friendly who called himself Aaron, who was traveling through the region. Outside the mine, there were several of the mysterious miners in heavy gear she had seen outside of Charleston. Aaron called them mole miners and warned her that they were extremely dangerous. But Loner had her mission and knew that the information she needed was somewhere in that mine on a terminal. They donned the limited sets of power armor that they had between them for some radiation protection and proceeded into the mine. They found the terminal in an office quite close to the entrance. It contains logs that told them that one of the raiders had been messing around with a machine and released massive amounts of radioactive wastewater back into the mine. The raider leader, Freddie Lang, had taken a team of men into the mine to try to rescue his crew. They never returned. Inside the mine, Aaron and Loner fought many mole miners, each of which seemed to be a hideous combination of bloated man in heavy gear, wielding either guns or a gauntlet with claws. There were ghouls, too, perhaps the remains of the Blackwater Raiders. There were too many of the mole miners. Aaron and Loner got separated, and when Loner thought all hope was lost, the mole miner she was fighting seemed to explode into fragments. Beyond what was left of the miner was a man in power armor. He nodded to her and then turned to his similarly equipped colleague, and they proceeded deeper into the mine. Loner took a few minutes to gather her wits and take stock of what few supplies she had left. Aaron emerged from the gloom and told a similar tale of their mysterious saviors. They followed the armor-clad men deeper into the mine. Loner's Pip-Boy must have received some programming from the terminal, as it now showed a marker with the name Lang on it. Following the route indicated, she turned a corner and was confronted by the most hideous thing she had ever seen. It looked like one of the ghouls that they had encountered, but it was horribly bloated and was so radioactive it literally glowed. Her Geiger counter was going nuts. It took them several minutes, but they finally killed it. Then she noticed a name tag on its rotting jumpsuit, Freddie Lang. Gingerly she searched the body and found a holotape in an inner pocket. She turned away and became violently ill. Aaron helped her up, and they followed the armored men out of the mine. Her Pip-Boy radio crackled to life, and Raider Rose again saw that she had survived and was ready with instructions on where to look for the next piece of the Raider stash puzzle. Lona returned to her camp and got some much-needed rest. In the morning, she got ready and started heading south past the silo site. Was it a good thing that it was closed? Was the potential for disaster still locked tight inside, or long ago wasted in the general destruction of the world? Heading further south, she found a pond with a shack next to it. Inside the shack was a terminal and an elevator. The overseer had also left a cache here, telling her that this was Missile Silo Alpha, and any attempt by Vault Tech would probably have been frowned upon by the military, who left access only for the highest-ranking individuals. Fortunately, there was no one there. The overseer also mentioned that while the world recovered outside, an automated factory was likely ticking away, making additional nuclear missiles. What hath man wrought? How much destructive power had been built up beneath her feet? Lord help us all if it was unleashed again. Unfortunately, the overseer found out, as her children of Vault 76 had apparently not secured the nukes as she had asked, but had used them to wage war against each other, and she appealed to them in her holotape to stop the cycle of violence. Loner suddenly realized that Appalachia had become much more dangerous than she had imagined possible. Loner continued south toward the Pip-Boy marker for the Trappers' camp on the Devil's Backbone. The Trappers' camp was guarded by steel traps and punji boards, but she had figured that trappers would take such precautions, and was prepared for them. A note left by Chuck said that some super mutants had attacked the camp and took a man named Walter and some others west to Huntersville. Walter was in some camo outfit and had the tape. Containers at the camp yielded some much-needed ammo and a plan for a pipe revolver, hasty receiver. At Huntersville, she found super mutants and Walter, who was booby-trapped by the super mutants. Rose noticed her find and sent her on to find the diehards Margie McClintock at Sunny Top Ski Lanes, far to the north. Along the way, she stopped at her camp again, rested and restocked. When she reached the ski resort, she found a tape by Meg, one of Margie's lieutenants, who complained about Margie's policy of not firing first. Seems like an odd policy for a raider. She also mentioned a deal with some temple. Loner kept searching and found a holotape by Margie McClintock. Margie lamented that the die-hard name of the gang was a delusion. They thought that just the name would make people fear them. Now that everyone is as desperate as the raiders themselves, their victims have become their tormentors. Vincent Fried's terminal in the basement talked of the librarian at the temple who helped Margie change the password to the backup of their key fragment. He kept it on a slip of paper in the dresser in his bunk room. At some time after that, all the worshippers at the temple had simply disappeared. There was no evidence of attack or looting. Very strange. Meg noticed that they had started to lose touch with some of the other gangs, and Margie was missing. Were these related somehow? The Palace of the Winding Path was at first a tranquil place with an oriental look. There were recordings playing encouraging people to find their way to enlightenment. Owner cleared some scorched and found the password to the duplication machine and was able to create another key holotape from the archives. About that time, super mutants started to show up. She was able to avoid them and realized that there was an armored person fighting them. Although both were much stronger than her, she lent a hand, again showing that she was more generous than her name implied. Her generosity paid off as the armored person rewarded her with some much-needed diluted stimpaks. Rose and the Pip-Boy informed her that the next errand would take her to Bolton Greens, back south near Greg's mining supply. Loner was beginning to wish that the raiders hadn't traveled so much in their greedy quests. Agnes Westerbrook's holotape was found at the front desk of Bolton Greens. A billionaire heiress, she was forced to stay at a glorified daycare center for the rich while her parents traveled the world, and she had to participate in events with the other children who were mere millionaires. The facility seemed to be an exclusive boarding house and golf facility for the extremely rich. Roenick found signs of super mutants, as there were a lot of bodies and gore lying about. Strangely, however, there were none of the super mutants' typical gore bags hung like trophies. She found Morris Stevens' holotape at the golf rental desk downstairs. He was a fat guy with a large appetite, because I'm the boss. He complained about the other gangs, so he must have been a raider boss. He started off by saying that unsuspecting travelers had been harder to come by. Soon it is evident that he and his wife, and probably his followers, are all cannibals. He continued by stating that due to the shortage, some of the less loyal members of his gang would soon be coming up on the menu. He does stop short of eating children because, as he says, I'm not a monster. Besides, kids are too skinny. Not a monster indeed. Loner hoped to find Morris's corpse so that she could tell him just what she thought of him. Loner heard but did not see a scorched beast flying by and found some useful recipes in the kitchen that did not involve body parts. She found a logo on some of the walls that must have signified the gourmands, a jawless skull dripping blood with a fork and knife behind it. Revolting. A note upstairs was not signed, but stated, he said we weren't going to eat each other, but then, poor Gregory. Apparently the group was able to send Morris and Edie away, and they went on to a cave on the other side of the mountain, whatever that meant. Lona returned to her camp to wash off some of the stench from the gourmand's camp. While eating her dinner, her vaulthood friend Edward dropped by. He knew of the cave and said that he had heard that there were Wendigo there. She was surprised that he believed that folklore, but they had both seen many strange things since emerging from Vault 76. The next day they headed to the cave. Edward led the way, and within they descended deep into the cave, where they had to fight off ghouls and mirelurks. They finally found the Wendigo in the deepest chamber. Having Edward along made all the difference, and they emerged victorious. The largest of the Wendigo had the gourmand's key holotape, which after some cleaning would be usable. Eddie, Morris's wife, had died in the cave and left a note saying that Morris was killing passers-by on the nearby road, but was not sharing with her. She was having to live off of his scraps. She said he was starting to look at her with hunger in his eyes. She recognized that they were changing. Maybe it was this place. She wondered who would feast first. Edward and Loner also found a holotape labeled Morris's End. Apparently he was recording when he realized he'd killed and eaten his wife and was still hungry. Loner seriously hoped that the Wendigo had ended Morris. Perhaps Morris had become the Wendigo. Loner wondered about what this destroyed world had done to her. Sometimes it takes a monster to kill a monster. The evidence at the cave indicated that David Thorpe was given the key fragment and had headed toward Big Fred's barbecue shack in the hopes of finding food there. It was a short distance away, and when they got there, they found another vaulthood friend, Sarah, battling some scorched. They helped her mop them up and then realized that one of the scorched was David Thorpe. He was the David Thorpe from Rosalind's holotape, which told the story of their pre-war affair and trip to the top of the world. He had the key fragment on him. Rose again contacted Loner on the radio and offered her a reward for her hard work, and of course had another errand for her. She was to go to the Charleston Capitol building and try to find a record of where they had imprisoned Rosalind Jeffries and the program needed to make use of the key fragments. Traveling to the courthouse was uneventful, and the search for information in the wreckage was complicated by supermutants. But they found a terminal in the courthouse jail with records of one Jane Doe. Nearby, they found Rosalind and a holotape. Piecing the story together from various sources, Edward and Loner figured out that David and Rosalind joined the Raiders, and David rose to become the leader of the Cutthroats. According to Maria Chavez of the Responders, Rosalind was captured by the Responders, and David asked the civic leaders of Charleston to help him. When they refused, David took revenge on Charleston by destroying the Summersville Dam with a mini-nuke and flooding the city. The Responders suffered many losses, and Rosalind was killed in the flood. Edward had to attend to other business and made his goodbyes. Loner thanked him for his help and hoped they'd meet again. Rose again contacted Loner over her Pip-Boy radio and revealed that she had never needed the key fragments or a program to use them. She had just wanted to test Loner, and as a result decided she really liked her and told her that the Raider cache was in the nearby Pleasant Valley ski resort, but that she'd need a claim check from the concierge to get access to the cache. Loner wondered if this ordeal would ever end. She traveled back to the top of the world, again stopping by her camp for some sleep and a chance to repair her equipment. The next day she ran into another Vault Hood friend, the bizarre Sammy Please, and he agreed to help her in her quest to discover the fate of Lieutenant Madigan and the Scorched Detector uplink. They arrived at the ski resort where she had to battle mole miners to get access to the basement and the cache, which was protected by a laser grid. They searched the building and found the concierge, but no record of a way to get by the laser grid. They made a close inspection of the area around the grid, and they found a key card under the doormat. Loner was infuriated that her days-long search led to this simple solution, and so close to the top of the world. With the laser grid disabled, they entered the cache. What they found was not much, and a broken uplink. Despite Loner's desire to take out her frustrations on the robot Rose, she realized that progress was being made in her attempt to finish Lieutenant Madigan's task of finding a final solution to the Scorched virus. Rose told them that the uplink was the kind of thing that would have been used by the Free States, a pre-war coalition of apocalypse-predicting survivalist preppers. Rose told them they might find the means to repair the uplink at the Free States bunker to the east in an area called the Mire. The Mire was a swampy area that now contained new horrors of biology, which Sammy and Loner skirted around to get to the bunker. Along the way, they stumbled across the still-locked Vault 94. At the bunker, they found that the Overseer had also been there and left them some information about the Free State and some supplies. The bunker was protected only by a simple terminal lock. It seemed uncharacteristic for a bunch of paranoid loonies who had no more sense than to think their concrete bunker would protect them when Vault Tech had provided real protection from the apocalypse. Loner was finding that her name was quickly becoming quite ironic, as she continued to find and get help from people whom she had known in Vault 76. It is my pleasure to tell you her story. I'll see you in the wasteland.
Thank you so much, Lee. That was a great bit of narrative storytelling. That was
so good.
It's wonderful. I want to write a documentary and have Lee narrate it.
Yes, he would be so good. And also, he needs to start doing audiobooks. Lee?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Second career, buddy. Retire and do your audiobooks.
Serious side hustle, for real.
Side hustle. A couple of things I noticed. He said a couple of Wendigo. Is the plural of Wendigo Wendigo?
Wendigos.
Is it Wendigo? Wendigo?
Windowints.
Window. Oh my gosh.
Windoways. Please go aways. The his character's name was Loner. I love that. Pluralized Wendigo. the first time I ran through it, I don't know anything about those guys over there in the free states, but if they're and have their own bunkers and their doomsday preppers, shouldn't they just have like these incredible stashes just full of stuff, or have they all been plundered by now? Is that what we're led to believe?
I don't know.
Yeah, who'd be there to plunder them?
We're not quite there yet. Yeah, I don't know. Robots? Rad rats, Ray? I don't know. That's your ballpark. Right on. Lee, great storytelling. Please keep up the good work and keep telling us the story of Loner. Love to hear about it. Beardy Sai, please, we were super offensive earlier. We had no idea where you are. Northern Ireland, I believe, is the answer there, folks. If you're playing the game at home, this was really just a trivia game. We're really not so disrespectful that we'd have no idea where Beardy Sai was from. So hopefully Phil knows what he's talking about. He said that Beardy Sai is from Northern Ireland. So
we love you, Beardy Sai.
sorry about that, Simon. Or Sai. Sorry, I don't mean to call you Sai, but don't hate us.
Coil's Journal, Part 4. I hate that fucking robot. So, to get to Rose and find out what she knew about Madigan, I had to get her a radio signal booster. I needed to head north to find the schematic for it. On the way, I passed through Pleasant Valley. It was once a ski resort for the great and the good, and now it's full of scorched and super mutants and some kind of mole men. Those fuckers freak me out. I think it's the breathing and the wheezing and the roaring up behind you like that. Got plenty of shotgun ammo, though. Looks like the place was a thriving town full of raiders once. Raiders. From reading others' terminals, you think that was a bad thing. They're just folks who knew that in order to survive here, you needed to look after number one. And if number two had what number one needed, well, tough on number two. Finally got some power armor, if that's what you can call it. Some crude plates and rebar welded onto an old frame. It was just standing in the middle of a wooden ring surrounded by bodies. Quite strange. Looks like shit. I'm glad none of my old team from West Egg are here to see me wearing this walking scrap heap. Got the plans I needed at the Seneca Rocks Visitor Center. Lots more scorched than a strange giant bee creature that was in a bad mood. It took some amount of killing. To build a unit, I needed a transponder and a duplexer. I found the transponder in the wreck of a plane beside the settlement of Horizon's Rest. In fact, the settlement was mostly made from the plane. It looked like a handy, secure little spot. I must remember it. I found the duplexer in the wreck of a train south of the top of the world, and once I'd assembled it all in my camp, Rose had me install it into the Nera transmitter dish. Seemed like overkill for a single crazy lady, but hey, if it got me what I needed, right? No. Turns out Rose was a crazy fucking robot programmed to think it was a raider. Great. I should have known better than to hope there was anyone else other than us vault dwellers out here. No surprises, Madigan is a corpse too. Looks like he had a rough time at the hands of the raiders. Rose knows where his detector thing is, though, but I've got to jump through some more hoops to get it. More fetch and bloody carry. Go here, go there. Rose just has to give me a crash course in raider culture. I don't care how many gangs there were or what they did. They're all dead. Dead, dead, dead. They don't bloody matter anymore. I filtered out most of what she was chattering on about. She wanted me to befriend a Deathclaw, sadistic kind of shite. I befriended her, all right, with a shotgun. How many gullible mugs she sent to that particular trap. I needed a pulse mine and some duct tape. Kill a mutant bear. She called it a Yagwai. Check. Make an explosive trap. Check. Steal from a super mutant. Check. Corpses. Through the line and eating that fucking ghoul. Big Spot laughed. I think she wanted to see how far she could make me go. Make that a mini nuke and some tape. So, it seems the raiders had a big treasure. A stash of who knows what. Each faction had a part of the key to access it, and that's where I was to find Madigan's device. I just needed to track down the keys from whatever had become of their owners. First on the Blackwater Mine. Turned out to be a bad choice of hideout for those poor fuckers. I suppose at least they're not dead. Or they weren't. They are now. The whole lot had become ghouls, or those mole men. And their leader was a glowing ghoul. Very tough, but I got his key. Even if it meant drinking right away like water. Trappers had a camp in the hills. I found West Tech on the way down. I must get back there soon. I want proper armor. I know I'll get something there. The trail from the trapper camp led to Huntersville, a town full of super mutants. Outside, I found a cemetery full of people called Scribe this and Paladin that. They were pretty well armed for corpses. I found the key on a booby trap raider corpse. Leaving town, I had my weirdest experience yet in the waste. I could hear an old military marching tune coming from somewhere. I hunted about a bit and eventually found the source, an Ibot floating up the road playing a tune, followed by a stream of rad-rats. Wherever it went, they followed, just like the Pied Piper. Next to Sunnytop ski lanes and another key part. It seems not all the raiders were into killing to take what they needed, or at least the leader of this faction thought so. It seemed our followers thought otherwise. Our key was lost, but it seemed I could get a copy of the Palace of the Winding Path, wherever that was. When I found the hippie palace, it was deserted, not a hippie raider in sight. The password and got the key I needed from their central terminal, and just then a guy in unfamiliar yellow power armor burst in, followed by a horde of super mutants. Speakers around the building started talking about meditation and discordant forces. We killed the mutants and he went on his way with a wave. It was all very weird. Another clue to a key was to be gotten at the Bolton Green Golf Club. The Mr. Handy in charge was crazy, so I didn't hang around. The trail led to a cave off to the east, Wendigo Cave. The name brought back childhood memories of nightmares. I fell in with a fellow vault dweller who was heading that way, and we explored the cave together. Just as well we did. There was all kinds of nasty down there. Giant crabs and weird fishmen who bombarded us with sound shockwaves and Wendigo. Paul and gaunt, its pasty white skin hung loosely from its frame. I don't know whether it was a radioactive monster or something far older, but it looked like it had stepped out of my 6-year-old night terrors. I froze rigid at the sight of it, only to be snapped back to reality by the crack of my companion's rifle. I killed it eventually, but it knocked a few lumps out of me first. Nothing a Stimpack couldn't handle, though. The last fragment was with David, the raider leader. He hadn't aged well. It was a mercy killing to dispatch the mindless ghoul that he'd become. Rose sent me to Charleston City Hall to find Rosalind's body. Seems David was the one who blew the dam after the responders captured her. Did he realize he was killing her in the process? Seems like a crazy thing to do, even for a raider. Anyway, Rose fed me some bullshit about her wanting to rip me off, then getting a dose of conscience. No idea what the hell that was about. Either way, I got access to the raider treasure, mostly old pre-war junk and some ammo. And I got the uplink for the Scorch detector. All busted to hell. RoboBitch claims it can be repaired in a place called the Mire. I have no idea where that is, but it isn't here, and she's not there. Seems like a good place to go. Well, folks, that's it for Coil for this week. Just a quick roundup. We're currently on level 28. I've been playing through a fair bit of side content and events and things with some of the guys from the PC group and generally having a crack. The other player in the Wendigo Cave, by the way, was Clay. I didn't get his character's name, so I didn't name check him, but we had a good run through a few of those areas the other night, and thanks for the help, Clay. And looking forward to hearing from the rest of you guys, and we'll see you in the Wasteland.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the great feedback there, Beardy Sai. Always good to hear from you. Always great to hear from you. You were talking about plans earlier. I was having some adventure with plans. I decided finally, I need to find this artillery. That's one of my favorite things in Fallout 4. I know. The range isn't nearly as long in Fallout 76 as it is in Fallout 4 with these artillery cans, but it really was one of my favorite things to use. So I decided, I finally need to go grab it. Let's just Google real quick where the fuck do I get these plans? Because now, all the vendors evidently have all the plans are available somewhere or something, right? And you can tell. So I'm like, okay, let's go get this artillery plans. Oh, they're Phoenix. This guy named Phoenix has them down in Watoga. I've seen him before. Pat always brings up Phoenix and Watoga. Alex and Pat like to go through there. I think Eric and lots of people frequent through there. So I decided to run down there, and I was like, oh, let's talk to him. Oh no, he doesn't have these plans. Wait a second. I thought everyone was supposed to have these plans, and it was like, oh, okay. I think someone mentioned they're Brotherhood of Steel related, so they might be locked quest-wise. So I'm interested to see. After I do the Fort Defiance quest, I think they're available there. If I pick those up there, then do they become available for sale at Phoenix and Watoga? And only after I pick them up? And then my next big question what good does it do you with the for sale if you already have them?
That's a good question.
I'm puzzled. So I bet you have to do that Brotherhood of Steel part, but then that's when they spawn down there and Phoenix gets them. But I don't understand. I don't know. I haven't done that part with this character yet, of course, because we're doing all the quests together, and that's not even the next set of quests. I think it might be even the next set of quests after that. So it's like a month or whatever before I'm gonna get a shot at that. I think that's cool. It's cool. I'll be patient. I've decided that I've been at my camp, my assigned camp up in the Toxic Valley, plenty. So I'm going to start doing a sort of a mobile artillery cannon style camp where I just move it all over the place and just blow up things before I go in. I think that might be a fun style. Because I used to do that
interesting.
I used to do that with settlements on and Fallout 4. I would just have settlements all over the whole fucking map. But now I just can move my camp into proximity of things I want to blow up and go about it that way instead of using settlements all over the place. I think that might be a fun way.
That'd be fun.
My wife and I I was kind of thinking of my camp moving all over the place like a big battle station. Like my wife and I saw that new Peter Jackson movie, that
one with it's like
cities on treadmills things.
Big robot cities.
Yeah.
Weird. What do you saw the movie?
Yeah, we saw it. It was a movie.
Man, Peter Jackson is so hit and miss.
No, it's when you have a kid and you have the opportunity, it was great.
All right.
You know what I mean? It could have been the worst movie ever, but it was just still fun. You know what I mean? No, but it kind of made me think of that. Like, I'm just gonna have a mobile camp where I'm pretending it's on the big treads. I'm just gonna motor around the map and blow stuff up with my artillery cannon when I finally get the movie to do that. So I think that'd be fun. Beatrice, I also mentioned the guys who went into Blackwater Mine. They either became ghouls or mole miners. And then he kind of moved on, and it made me pause and think, what the fuck are mole miners exactly? Like, we know that they've sort of bonded to their suits and become irradiated and damaged and like all mutated and weird big monsters of, like 7th grade emo rage screamo metal band singers. We know that they're those guys, but like, do we know how or why? Like, would those mole miners have been raiders, or were those the ghouls were the raiders, or did they split up? Where are the mole miners from?
It was just my impression that the mole miners were like in the mines before, and they just were there throughout the bombs or just everything that happened, and the radiation and everything changed them. But that the raiders that had gone in, those are the ones that turned to ghouls.
Those the ghouls, okay. So
that's what I always thought too, was that they were miners and they just mutated.
So what sort of radiation, that whatever toxic bullshit was going on in their mind or whatever, some toxic gas or whatever, it formed them into. Okay, cool. I love those mole miners. They're my favorite.
No.
People were talking about bad guys and they're fighting on Valentine's Day. The special, they're talking about their favorite bad guys to fight and the Fallout series. People say Cazadors, of course, and it's always a great answer. And those fucking weird slug pukers from Fallout 3. And
the Sentinels.
Sentinels, yeah. People were mentioning this thing. I was just like, I fucking love the mole miners. I don't know why. They're just really fun to fight because
they're creepy.
They do melee most of the time, so they come up and they box with you. It's just fun. I really like fighting those guys. They're a good time.
Good choice of shotgun shells too if you have a shotgun build.
Yeah.
Which
I do. I'm still in my don't use ammo mode, and I think I'm almost up to 5,000 rounds of 45, so I can probably start letting myself use a little bit of that now at this point.
Yeah.
I hope
it'll last you 4 or 5 days.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll find a fucking Scorch Beast and it'll be gone in 2 play sessions. It's so maddening. It's been a month since I fired a fucking gun. Yeah. All right, Beardy Sai, thank you so much for your feedback, sir, and I apologize for confusing your homeland earlier. We're going to move on to Will feedback. Is there anything that you would like to mention before we hop into your feedback there, sir?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I guess just go ahead.
All right, so we will go ahead and hear from Will. Actually, Will, before we do that, I just wanted to bring up that you always do these really nice posts with lots of pretty nice pictures.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your photography. If you're an actual an interested party in the art of photography and all that, because you seem to spend a good deal of time, and then could you maybe drop a few hints about the photo mode and tips and stuff, since you spent a lot of time in it, if there's any cool things that you've discovered about the photo mode?
Oh goodness. I'll have to think on the hints and stuff. I would not consider myself a photographer at all. I just kind of like play one in Fallout, I guess. But it was something that I guess I picked up a few years ago, just in it. Like I caught the photo bug, so I started taking an interest in it, and then it's carried over into Fallout. And I have a good time with the photo mode, and it's one of those things where I'm just kind of walking along in the game, or I'm in the middle of a quest, and I'll just see a bike up against the wall or something. I'm like, ooh, look at that bike, and that's it. The next 20 minutes, no quest or anything else matters. It's just like, how cool of a picture can I make this bike?
So what sort of investments have you made into photo mode via the Atomic Shop?
Nearly every pose.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, because I like to do the poses, and like I posted one time where I tried to make like my character look like she was driving that boat that's at the bottom of Camp McClintock down there. Tried to make it look like she was having a day out on the lake. And
that was so awesome.
There were a few that were really spot on, but she was not. It doesn't even look like she's ducking, but sitting in the driver's seat behind the wheel.
Yeah,
right,
totally.
Yeah. So like I have all the poses so that if there's some kind of picture that I want to try to make it look like this or that, maybe I can make that pose just work with it if I get the right angle and hide whatever's sticking out from here or there.
All right.
And it's basically just exploring all the options. Like you figure out, you just play kind of with the depth of field a little bit, figure out, what you want to be in focus, and zoom in and out and move it all around until something clicks with you. It's just...
All right, tell me about this Girls on Fire.
It was just a weird thing that happened. I was just playing, and I was over by gosh, I forgot what train station it was, and I jumped up on top of this pillar just because I have the marsupial mutation, and it's fun to jump on everything.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
I'm playing Skyrim, and I'm so mad that my character doesn't have. I'm just like, you fucking jump higher. Why aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I go back to my roundtable character now that doesn't have any mutations. I'm like, oh, come on.
You're so slow. Run faster, slow.
Yeah. But so, anyways, I jumped up just on top of this pillar, and all of a sudden, it was just like, just like a little, like a fireplace starting or something. Just a flame just kind of erupted over my character, and that was it. She was just on fire the entire night, and it didn't matter. Like at first I was running around everywhere. I was scared if I fast traveled, she wouldn't be on fire anymore. But I died and respawned and ended up fast traveling and all this stuff, and she was just right on fire the entire time. It was super fun.
You're like fucking Ghost Rider or whatever that guy's name is. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was really fun. I was excited.
Human Torch. That's really fun. And so it actually just stuck to you.
Yeah.
And it glitched out, and you carried it around. But when you logged off, of course, it was gone the next time you logged back in.
Right. Yeah. I think I was on for about 2 hours or so.
Wow.
And then,
wow.
Right. And then finally, just my server crashed. And then when I came back on, it was gone.
Yeah. People have been complaining about a lot of server crashes recently, a lot too. I think that is something that has been addressed in the recent update. was that this morning? I still haven't even logged in to Fallout in days. I think I was on for a few minutes the other day and a few minutes like a few days before that, but because I'm doing that recording project with all the music, writing songs and stuff for the RPM challenge. Bernie, how's your album going, buddy? But I've been spending so much time with that, I've just barely been able to hop into Fallout 4 at all. I'm actually playing a lot more Skyrim right now because at work on my lunch break, I actually can take my Switch. So I've been playing Skyrim at work.
Oh, okay.
But so if I, my evenings are all spent if I get free time with the music.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing photos, though, I just kind of take screen caps a lot of the time with the Xbox, just like snap thing with the button there. I sometimes I'll go into photo mode, especially when we do things like on Friday nights. The Xbox group has been getting together for large groups, and we're kind of dubbing it server takeover because we get a bunch of people from our group, and then Alex knows a bunch of people from his other sort of fork and his Xbox friends that all gather together, and we all like gather. Once we had, I don't know, 16 of us or something. We pretty much had the entire server to just our party of people who were running around together. So we've done that the last 2 or 3 Fridays.
Yeah.
So that's kind of become a thing. So I can only do it when my kid's in bed, because I can't play loud electric distorted guitars when he's sleeping for some reason. The little pup. Why can't the little kid grow a pair and learn to sleep through daddy's rocking? Jeez, when do they grow up?
Too fast.
Yeah, they do grow up too fast.
That is true.
My wife pointed out, it's like, his feet are touching the end of his bed. I'm like, oh, fuck. It's getting tall. We need to buy a mattress. Get him a big boy bed. I know. So, Will, I love your photographs. Thank you for hopping onto the show tonight. Let's go ahead and hop on your feedback. Thanks a lot for submitting.
I like the Appalachia radio my Pip-Boy picks up. I really do. But the short playlist that repeats sometimes gets old. Why hadn't I brought any holotapes from the vault with me? So when Rose said I had to fix her radio before she had let me up, I was kind of okay with it. I'd love a second station to tune into. Meanwhile, Mark, who had saved my life twice now, was astonished that I had managed to somehow survive this long and was unsure I could hack it alone. So he offered to tag along just in case. Sure thing, I said. Just remember it's Hayes, not Hazel. So off we went to Seneca Rock's Visitor Center to pick up some schematics, where we made quick work of some scorched and a honey beast. The schematics required 2 pieces I didn't have in order to craft it, a duplexer and a transponder. I knew just where to get a transponder. I had previously passed by the wreckage of a crashed plane turned shantytown called Horizon's Rest. It was overrun by super mutants, so I was glad to have company. I approached cautiously as I used my hunting rifle to pick off as many as I could from the perimeter before moving in for closer combat. Mark with a shotgun and myself with a rifle. The transponder was in the nose of the plane as expected. I didn't even know what a duplexer was, but Mark said there was a derailed train not too far from his camp that had been carrying that type of equipment. The car we needed to get to was surrounded by major gutsies and a sentry bot. Neither of us thought we were quite up to the challenge of outright battle with them, so Mark played decoy, luring them away long enough for me to sneak around the side, grab it, and make a mad dash back to his camp for a rest and supply. Shortly after venturing out again, Mark was taken off guard by 2 Yaogwai. Well, who needs help now? Finally, a chance for me to help him. But I must have looked much tastier than he did as they suddenly lost interest in him and began running towards me. Fine. Despite how it seems so far, I'm actually quite capable. Then 2 more Yaogwai appeared. Mark! Help! In the distance, I heard him shout, Coming, Hazel! Christ, I murmured through clenched teeth. But it's hard to complain to someone that's running to rescue you from a pack of Yaogwai. The satellite we needed to install the signal repeater on was surrounded by super mutants, which we dispatched using the same tactics we had at Horizon's Rest. Once there, some robots disapproved of the upgrades we were making, but I disapproved of their interruptions. So, a few less annoying robots in the world and a few more metal piles. Upgrade complete, Rose's voice came through my Pip-Boy telling me all about how she was a raider, and what I had really done was help her tap into the emergency broadcast system. Not cool, Rose. And whether Mark actually had something else to do as he suggested, or was just tired of saving my ass, I don't know. But we parted ways again, and I went back to see Rose. Turns out, Not only was Rose actually a robot, but Madigan was dead, as his body was rotting in a cage not 6 feet from her. However, Rose said Madigan was working on a scorch detector and that she knew where it was, but that before she would tell me, I had to do a few things for her. Of course I did. Not a fan, Rose. Looking around her hideout provided a few frag grenades off the many dead raider corpses and a Live and Love magazine. Not that I care for that. I just forgot to bring holotape from the vault and, something for the camp in case people come over. Did I mention I found a Guns and Bullets magazine at the radio, Ray? Well, I did. Guns and Bullets, that's a good magazine. I also found a recording of a guy named David on a ski vacation with his mistress named Rosalind, who sounded an awful lot like Rose. He even referred to her at one point as his darling Rose. Coincidence? Rose's first set of favors were more of a Raiders lifestyle tutorial that I think was intended as a sales pitch to recruit me. As if. I'm a responder, in case you hadn't noticed. Some of the highlights of this tedium included me attempting to make friends with a Deathclaw that didn't want any new friends just then. So I pulled out my fancy new laser rifle I'd added a hair trigger and a barrel mod to and began firing away. When I came to, Rose was making fun of me for running away. All I knew is I was a few hundred yards from where I was before, and I had a few possibly broken limbs as well as a headache that rivaled the one I had the morning after I discovered the moonshiner's shack by the vault. Another was I had to kill a ghoul and eat it. I killed a stupid ghoul, but there was no way in hell I was eating that thing. I refused to eat cram, so you think I'm going to eat that? Although, now that I think about it, if it came down to it, I might choose ghoul over cram. Just kidding. I do love my Appalachia cram burgers. After that, guess what? Rose had more quests for me. This time to retrieve key fragments from each faction leader that combined would open a Raider treasure chest stash. I found Freddie Lang fighting a mole miner in Blackwater Mine. I alternated shooting one, then the other until they were both dead, and I took the first key off her glowing dead body. Second piece was in the distended belly, obviously a trap, of Walter over in Huntersville. How any of these super mutants ever managed to set up a trap like that, I don't know. I mean, they're big, mean, and hulky green, but not too bright, considering one of them ran up to me carrying a missile launcher. So I killed him with my switchblade, then used his missile launcher to kill a few more, then back to the switchblade to finish off the rest. By the way, where was Mark then to see me going all aggro badass? While making a duplicate from the backup of a third key I had feared was destroyed, I received alert on my Pip-Boy that my camp was under attack. I took immediate action, but it had sustained heavy damage. I was probably going to have to relocate. I had seen a cave just southwest of the vault that might offer more protection. That could be a good place. Not wanting to deal with it just then, I forged on with my objective. The gourmands at Bolton Greens had apparently taken to eating each other. So Morris and his wife went to hide out in Wendigo Cave, which was spooky, moldy, and ghoul-infested. And that was just at the entrance. As I went deeper, crap, Mylerks. Then double crap, Mylert Kings that were almost the end of me. Where the hell was Mark when I needed him? Note, do not move camp into caves. And eventually a Wendigo. Well, it was called Wendigo Cave after all. Not trusting my laser rifle after the Deathclaw incident and feeling my switchblade was a bit small, I tried the black diamond blade Rose had given me. Well, what do you know? She actually gave me something useful, and the fourth key was mine. On my way to Fred's barbecue, where Rose had said David Thorpe would be, it struck me. This was the David from the holotape, and Rose was his former lover, even though she's now somehow a robot. What hell, the Live and Love magazine Rose had even had an article in it called I Married a Robot. Not that I read it or anything. It was just on the cover. I did mention I grabbed the Guns and Bullets, right? David was at Fred's barbecue, all right, and I used the black diamond again to kill him and the other Scorched. Maybe the Fred's barbecue sign had me hungry, but it occurred to me I should eat his body. How would you like that, Rose? Since you seem to think it'd be so funny for me to eat a ghoul, how about I eat David? But of course, I didn't have the stomach for it. Rose said the master holotape that would put the fragments together was with Rosalind's body when she was taken prisoner during a raid in Charleston, which had also killed 7 responders. Upon entering the courthouse her body was at, I was immediately attacked by a ghoul. Ghouls, I've learned, are like potato chips or beers. There's no such thing as just one. So I waited in the doorway for them to come to me, which they did one by one as I hacked away at them with my switchblade until they were all gone, nearly 30 in all. That's when Rose came clean about her true intention to get me killed on a wild goose chase, but that she had a change of heart, so I should go to Pleasant Valley Ski Resort where the key was under a mat all along. Of course it was. I didn't find any treasure there, but I did find Madigan's uplink, though it needed to be repaired. But that was going to have to wait. I returned to my camp to find it fully functional. It seems Mark had gotten wind of my camp's partial destruction, and while I was complaining he wasn't around to watch me looking all cool killing some super mutants, he was hard at work repairing my camp. Jesus, the guy wasn't even around, and he was still stacking owed favors from me. At least I didn't have to listen to him calling me Hazel over and over. Oh, and by the way, Rose, your radio station sucks.
Nice. Very, very, very well done, Will. Kudos.
Thank you.
Very, very nice.
Very, very funny. Especially the Live and Love magazine. That was hilarious.
Well, I mean,
my character has issues.
Got guns and bullets too, Sarah. Did you not notice? Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that robot story was in the middle of the magazine. I don't think it was on the cover.
Yeah. I don't know about that. It's pretty deep in there, if I remember right. Of course.
Back page.
Read it. Yeah. Tell me about Appalachili. I can't even pronounce it.
It's very hard.
Appalachili? Is that how it is?
Appalachili cranbergers.
Appalachili cranberger. Tell me about that wonderful sounding dish.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It was just one of those things, in the Delberts, the Reverend Delbert Winters, he has recipes for one of them was for
guy like
right. Well, he actually has recipes for things other than ribeye. They had the Appalachili was one of them, and then I guess somewhere like the cranberger also, and it was just one of those little things. It's like, to me, it was like an obvious put them together. It's just like that.
Oh, but it's not one of those advanced dishes that you can construct for like extra XP or
no. It was just
that sounds great. That sounds like a wonderful idea. You should submit a ticket. Eric has been saying that he submits tickets, and they've actually been paying attention to.
Really?
Feedback when he actually submits tickets for suggestions to the crew over there at Fallout 76. They actually are listening and conversing with people. So. And I think they read Reddit a lot too, but evidently Reddit has been going through a meltdown recently, the last couple of days. Have any of you checked it out? I'm not much of a Reddit person, but I've been hearing that it's blowing up, guys.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Like what? Blowing up in a bad way, or
people are very upset about the update that is happening.
Oh my gosh! All they do is cry. If you don't like the game, don't play it.
Well, I mean, Sarah, they're having their hard-earned, cheated weapons removed.
Oh, well, I'm sorry you're all big cheaters.
A little sympathy. They spent many hours, man-hours, and an investment of time into this, Sarah.
Hey, listen.
Have you no heart?
Listen, I don't have time for your negative attitude.
I'm the positive one. A lot calmer than you are, dude.
Yeah. It's just annoying.
Yeah, they're people, the duped items, people who have 100 of these rare, weird duped items. Bethesda has some way of tracking everything. Big Brother watching over our shoulder, see what we have in our inventory. They have a way of knowing everything. If you have just one of the items has been sold to you and you have it, I think you're fine. If they have, they'll remove the rest of your inventory, except they'll leave you the one. They'll just take everything that was duped. So, I think it's fun for people to find exploits and sort of punch holes into the game where they can and everything. But if it helps promote the culture that is going around and making Leon not play the game anymore and destroying Will's game, then a big giant 2 big middle fingers up and a giant fuck you to you from this show. if that is
Dude,
the sort of
for
culture.
real, just don't be an asshole. That's it. Just don't be an asshole.
Yeah, don't chase away my friend Leon. That really
Ah.
makes me super sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alex might have some news on the griefing stuff here in a little bit. We do have a couple more bits of feedback. Let's hear from Eddie and Phil. So let me see if I can get Eddie pulled up here. Eddie, is that one that you play with frequently, Sarah and Ray? Do you guys play with Eddie? Is he a PC guy?
Yep.
Yes, Eddie's the best.
What is he, like in Australia or something, right?
I think he's
No.
in like Michigan.
Oh, Eddie's Eddie's in Michigan. There's some guy in Australia you guys play with too.
Clint?
Clint, yes. Clint sent an email, right? This
Yes.
week we'll hear from Clint.
Yes.
And he works like an off shift, so you guys play with him sometimes too.
Yeah, he's
Cool.
super fun. Yeah.
Eddie and Michigan. Great. Awesome. So let's go ahead.
I could be wrong, but he's definitely from the United States, and he's on East Coast time, and he lives somewhere where it's really cold.
I mean, that's anywhere that's not California, though, right? That's sort of in the Eastern time zone. You guys think everything is cold. It's like 50 degrees, and you guys put on a damn coat. It's crazy.
It was like 35, 34 in the morning the other day when I got up. I mean, I get up at 4, but like at like 6 a.m. it's like 40, 45, and that's ridiculous.
45. That's terrible. Yeah. A couple of weeks ago during the crazy polar vortex thing here in Indiana, we had a literal 90-degree swing in one day.
Wait, what?
From the wind chill, from the feels like temperatures, it went from wind chill negative 50 degrees to 40 degrees the day after, like when it broke. It was a literal 90-degree swing in the temperature outside.
So what does that do to your body?
People were wearing... No, I'm telling you, people go out in shorts when it's 50 degrees because it feels like it's the warmest day in the middle of July then all of a sudden, because your body gets acclimated to being so fucking cold that it's like 50 degrees is like a perfect spring, beautiful day. It's really weird.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone goes out in shorts.
Watching people like throw hot cups of water up in the air and seeing it just like turn into frost. Yeah, that's crazy.
The people blowing bubbles or smacking a water bottle on the ground.
Oh yeah.
Freeze instantly. That's
craziness.
It's really neat. And it's really funny. Sorry, we're way off topic here, but it's really funny. I'm looking at the lyrics of the songs I've been writing for the RPM challenge, and I wrote all of the songs that weekend that it was happening, and they're all about like references like to cold and wrapping up and being warm and cuddling and getting cozy and like it's like, oh man, I must have been hibernating that weekend or something. That's really fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right.
You'll have to title the album Vortex.
Polar vortex, something or other. Yeah. Great. Eddie. Again, I'm fucking up where everybody's from. I'm just a horrible.
I have it in good authority that he's from Michigan.
Wait, is it Phil telling you? I think Phil's just lying to us. I think
Phil
it's some
knows.
guy. It's some guy named Eddie.
Oh, Eddie's in the chat now?
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out, Eddie. I apologize. Go.
Hey, I think I was right. Didn't I say Michigan?
You did.
Yeah.
All right, Eddie, I don't want to make you mad. Am I going to say go Wolverines, or am I going to say go Spartans? But whichever you prefer. How about that? Michigan's a lovely state. My in-laws live there. We have a lovely time there. Wonderful area, Eddie. Wait, no, I think you're talking to Adam Plude. Aren't you near Grand Haven somewhere? God, I could be totally wrong about that. It's ringing a bell. Eddie, thanks for the feedback, buddy.
Hello, everyone. This is Eddie with feedback for my Season 7 character, Sammy Hopewell, for the quest Signal Strength, Flavors of Mayhem, and Key to the Past. After becoming a fire breather, Sammy headed north into the Savage Divide to find the location marked on her Pip-Boy, the top of the world. When she got there, she found it to be an old abandoned ski resort. Well, abandoned other than some scorch and some crazy lady at the resort's main tower. She found a holotape from the overseer in a cache near the elevator. Apparently, who it is at the top of the tower managed to make the overseer angry. Not that it was hard to do in Sammy's experience. Sammy pushed the button for the 3rd floor. The woman on the loudspeaker said it was a no-go until Sammy helped her get a signal repeater up and working. Doing so would require finding the schematic for it first at its last known location, Seneca Rocks Visitor Center. As she got close, she heard what sounded like ghouls skulking around. Those were easy enough to take care of. The giant bee with a hive on its back full of smaller bees was a different story. Luckily, Sammy had her Gatling laser on her, or it could have went bad in a big hurry. She then found the schematic and instructions on a responder corps by the stairs. It required an SMV-97 transponder and an RCX-01-A39 duplexer. Luckily, it listed probable locations for both. Sammy went back to the top of the world and followed the road to the south, where a train had derailed. After dismantling a couple Colonel Gutsies with her ski sword, she found the duplexer and an old piece of electronics. She then went back to her camp near Helvetia and climbed the hills to the top of the nearby cliff, where the wreckage of an plane held the transponder. She assembled the signal repeater and headed east to the National Isolated Radio Array, fed some lead into the super mutants roaming around, and installed the repeater. Her shots earlier hadn't gone unnoticed. When she turned around, she saw 5 Colonel Gutsies coming down the hill. Sammy ran down to the control terminal and diverted power to the new component while doing her best to avoid the shots from the angry robots. She knew she was no match for 5 of them, so she ran for the hills while she popped some stim packs. Back at the top of the world, she finally was allowed to visit the top floor, where she found a robot and Madigan's dead body. The robot, Rose, claimed she wasn't the one who killed him, but she did know where the tech he was looking for was. But she wanted Sammy to help her with some more first. Namely, testing out some of the Raider faction's tactics to test their effectiveness. First, the cutthroats, who used a drug called Karma on their enemies. Rose wanted Sammy to modify a syringer and try it on a Yaogwai at Managa Overlook. After raging for a minute, the animal tired and was easy to kill. Second, the trappers. They used bait to lure their enemies in and kill them. Sammy had to go to the Sons of Dane compound and craft some explosive bait. She snuck up on some nearby mongrel dogs and tried it out. Third, the diehards. They had a thing against killing things that weren't already aggravated, so Sammy was to try and make friends with a Deathclaw. She instinctively killed the first one, so she headed to Deathclaw Island, where she tried all of a half a second to be friends, and then turned it to ash with her Gatling laser. Fourth, the Blackwater Bandits. They were thieves who used stealth to take what they wanted. Rose wanted Sammy to steal from the super mutants at West Virginia Lumber Company. Never a big fan of stealth, Sammy chose to shoot her way in and steal their missile launcher. Lastly, the Gourmands, a group of cannibals. Sammy was to kill a ghoul and eat it. She traveled to the White Streams and killed a nice Charles Frail ghoul, at least it was cooked, and dug in. Then it was back to the top of the world to talk to the psychopath. Rose said to get the Raider cache, Sammy would need a pass key, but it was split into 5 passwords on holotapes. She went to Blackwater Mine and got the bandits' holotape off the corpse of their leader, Freddie Lang. Then to Huntersville to get their password from the body of their kidnapped leader, which exploded after she took it. The Diehards holotape was destroyed by Margie McClintock. Luckily, someone named Vincent had a backup plan. His terminal mentioned the Palace of the Winding Path had a machine that could back up and duplicate holotapes. After finding the password there, Sammy was able to make a duplicate. The next piece of the key was in Wendigo Cave. Knowing how dangerous that place could be, Sam decided to team up with her friends Cobb and Sammy Please. Cobb was also looking for the piece of the key. A few Mirelurk Kings and a Wendigo later, and they had it. The last piece was with the Cutthroats leader at Big Fred's barbecue. Time had not been friendly to him. He was now scorched. Once they put him out of misery, they took the last piece of the key. Once back at Rose's hideout, she told Sammy that she needed a program to make a master key. It was last seen with Rosalind, David's mistress. She had died when they tried to raid Charleston. They may have recovered her body, though, and Sammy should check with the Capitol building in the lower level of the Capitol building. Once there, she found Rosalind and her interrogation tape. Rose then came over the emergency channel on Sammy's Pip-Boy to tell her the whole damn thing was a wild goose chase, to get her out of the way so she could steal the loot for herself. But she had a change of heart. Sammy went back to the top of the world to kill Rose, but she gave her some nice level 40 power armor. so she spared her circuits for now. She made her way into the Raider cache after finding the pass card under the rug. Protecton inside kept yammering about needing a claim ticket, but while he wasn't looking, she grabbed the broken uplink off the shelf. A message from Rose indicated that it belongs to the Free States, but they're all dead. She says one of them named Abby was real good with tech, and I should check out her bunker for help. This must be the Abby that was mentioned in the note she found when she left the vault. She guessed it was about time she looked into that a little further. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all in the wasteland.
Hey, Eddie. Thank you so much for the feedback, sir. Wonderful job. That rug card, it took me an embarrassingly long time to find that.
Me too.
I really was not sure what I was looking for there. And I don't know why it was so frustrating, but I was really upset when I found it. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I think it's possible that she even mentions it, but I didn't notice. But I looked forever. I couldn't find it. I would go right over the thing, and it would say you're 0 feet from it, and I was like, I don't see it.
Yeah. I'm hovering right over the thing, and like they usually give you that one icon that's like it's just an open circle of like, oh, it's just in this general area. You have to look around for yourself. But this one was like, nope, it's right there. X marks the spot, sort of diamond shape right there. All right. It's like, oh, I need to look down at my feet and activate. Oh, okay, great. He mentioned he just took his guns and fired in at the super mutants and took their missile launcher or whatever. I'm curious as to why, if they're not sneakers, why don't they make you sneak to get it? Why do they allow you to get credit for that if you go in guns a-blazing? Because that's what I tried. I thought like I would fail that part of the quest if I didn't do it correctly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that was also me too. I tried to sneak and couldn't do it, and I thought I was going to fail, but
kudos to
kill
you,
everyone.
Eddie. Yeah, kudos to you, Eddie, for just running in and taking care of business. I wish I would have done that. I spent some time there trying to sneak up that tower, trying to get by him. Couldn't do it. I'm not sneaky enough.
So the trick is that you get spawned just outside in the parking lot. And so I was running around trying to sneak in from the backside, and they caught me, and I was trying to run away and, see if I could get away and then circle back around.
Yeah.
But they all caught up to me and killed me, but we were quite a ways away from the bunker. When I respawned, I was in the front, they were in the back. I ran in, grabbed the stuff, and then ran out.
Oh, hey, there you go. That's a good strategy, everybody. Try to do it that way.
So I didn't kill any mutants. I snuck in without getting caught. But I did have to go back around and pick up my death bag.
Oh, those death bags. You ever abandoned a death bag? You gotten into situations where you're like, oh, fuck it.
So when I was when I had to go befriend the Deathclaw, Lee and I were up above on the mountain, and I was trying to make my way down, but I went a little beyond what goat legs would allow. And I died on the side of this cliff, and I could never get back to that spot without dying. So I just said, forget it.
Oh, it was like sort of on the side of the ledge of the mountain and like cliff side or something. You couldn't get.
Yeah. You know how the mountains, they have those little, they have little outcroppings here and there.
Yeah.
So I hadn't made it all the way to the bottom of the cliff before I died. And so my bag was stuck on the side of the cliff.
Have you ever been jumping and gotten killed as you were jumping, or died on someone's camp and then have them like log off or whatever? Your bag gets like suspended in the air. It's pretty funny.
When we killed that scorch beast, its little pile of ashes, because somebody obliterated it, just like hovering in the sky where no one could touch it.
Oh no, that stinks.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's like, hurry up, someone move your camp here so we can build some ramps up to that thing.
I know, right?
We need to get that someone put on your butcher's bounty and share it with the group, and let's get up there and let's make this happen. We need his bones. Someone, oh God, was that Pat? Someone mentioned Scorch Beast bones. Is that an ultrasite source? Someone posted in the group the other day. They wanted to know the real process, the best way to acquire a bunch of ultrasite ore, so they could repair some sort of armor or something they were having. Will, do you mess with that at all?
Not a lot. Well, I've been trying to learn, because like you, I've been wanting to get that radiation arch craft, like for my camp.
Yeah.
And then I forgot. Oh, so I've been trying to increase my under armor, and some of that needs some pure fluxes and etc. But you're right, the Scorch Beast bones do scrap into ultrasite.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I've been hearing a lot about this under armor a lot recently too, but I haven't messed with it at all. Can you fill me in a little bit about the Under Armour stuff, how that works?
Yeah, so basically I think it's every like faction, not Raider faction, but like the I don't know if Responders have one, but Brotherhood, or whether it's the Brotherhood Under Armour or the Vault Under Armour or the Enclave has it, and Raiders have it. So all those you can just wear on your clothes, and you can continually upgrade them, and you get like a little extra protection from ballistic radiation, all that. But it also, they usually, the higher you upgrade them, you get extra special stats. Like some of them are up to 3 extra strength and 3 perception, things like that. Different ones have different allocations for it.
Well, they have multiple special stats per set?
Yeah. So I forgot which one I have now, but it's got 3 strength and 2 of something else, and 4, or maybe not 4 but no, but it's multiple. It's up to 3 different categories that you can get extra points in.
I need to look into that. And you can wear your normal armor on top of that, because it's Under Armour, of course, right?
Correct. Yes.
How about my my Mrs. Claus my little dress that I like to wear? Can I toss that on over top of
sure.
everything? Will it actually,
if you go ahead.
I said, will that actually stack? Can I wear my outfit on top of the armor and Under Armour?
Right. Yeah. So the Under Armour, you just don't see it all unless you're not wearing any kind of just cosmetic apparel.
But it does, if you're not wearing any apparel, it does have a design of some sort, some cool looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have the wetsuit one, looks pretty cool, and then like I said, the vault suit itself is actually an Under Armour that you can upgrade, so it's similar to that.
What perks does the vault suit give you?
Ooh, I can't. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I need to find the one that gives you extra. Let's see. Unarmed would be probably strength, and I use VAT.
Yeah.
So perception or agility, one of those. So if there's one that gives to strength and either perception or agility,
yeah, there might.
I'll look into
some.
That. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I need to look into this Under Armour stuff. And also, you're right. The rad arch. That's just it takes I spend an hour running around a damn blast zone, picking up all the flowers I can, getting all the glowing mass and the weird flux and this and that and the glowing chemicals and blah blah blah. I bring it back after toiling for so long, sweating, get it back to my chem bench, and I produce 4. Four.
Yeah, and you need 10 or something like that to convert it.
You only need 39 to make the stupid rad arch. It's ridiculous. You spend an hour and you get 2 of the damn things. But Pat and Alex have started to become strategic about planting nuke zones and harvesting the flora within. Like the pumpkin patch evidently has it's not the most that you can get, but it is the most efficient because it's all like in one little row and one little pack all together. So you can get like all this. I don't remember exactly which flux it is, but you know what I mean. They're all just right there together, and like the pumpkin patch is a good spot. And they found another good spot, and like
the hard ones to get seem to be
like
like the cobalt and the crimson, or for
yeah.
me.
I don't even know what plants do what, but I go down whenever there's a nuke zone down in the cranberry bog. I go get the ferns, and those are always in the groups of little patches of trees. If you want to go get ferns, I think that one's crimson. No, I have no idea. I have zero clue. I just know I need all of it to make the damn rad arch, and it's taking forever. Especially now since I'm not playing much at all because of the stupid record. I need to hurry up and quit this band and get back to playing video games. Dumb. All right, let's continue on. Phil sent us in a little feedback here, so let's go ahead and say hi to Phil. What's up, Phil?
Good evening. This is Phil in San Diego, California, with this week's episode of The Locos, a dysfunctional family's exploits in Appalachia, episode number 3. And last week's episode number 2, The Loco Family, which is comprised of Gearhead Loco, the father and my OG character, Sammy Please Loco, 18, Gearhead's son and my roundtable character, Gracie Lawson Loco, Gearhead's daughter, and Sammy's baby sister, just 16 years old. Having left the vault at different times, the Locos find themselves totally alone and lonely, scattered throughout Appalachia, each trying to find companionship, a purpose for their lives, and to a varying degree, searching for each other. Gearhead thought he had found love with Vera, a hard-working assaultron and massage therapist at the White Springs Spa. Vera had given Gearhead a massage that seemed to relocate every bone in his body, and she barely seemed to notice Gearhead's bionic legs and his fully functional, fully mechanized little soldier. That Vera could put Gearhead's little soldier back into service with such spectacular success was a life-changing event for Gearhead. He could not love her more. But in today's episode 3, Sammy has returned to the White Springs to apologize to Vera for his cruel sarcasm about Vera's lack of humanity, and to ask her again for her help finding his father and sister. Vera explained that her last conversation with Gearhead was angry and short. She told Gearhead in no uncertain terms that he needed to find his children and beg them for forgiveness for neglecting them their entire lives. When Gearhead attempted to protest, Vera responded by preparing her mighty laser cannon for firing. Gearhead got the message and quickly departed. Vera had no idea where Gearhead was going, though she told Sammy that she had mentioned Sammy's new friend Cecilia to Gearhead. Cecilia, Clint Lovell's our roundtable character, a wise and beautiful woman, might be unprepared, Sammy thought, for the bad behavior of a cynical old cad like Gearhead. As Vera continued, Sammy became more and more angry. He demanded to know how anyone could survive in the outside world, outside of the comfort and security of the vault. I could find anyone in a minute, Sammy said, either in person or through the vault's intercom, he shouted. At that, Vera interrupted him by saying that a raider named Rosalind Jeffries, or what was left of her, seemed to have control of the only working communication system in Appalachia. Perhaps Rosalind, or Rose as she called herself, could also send a message to anyone with a Pip-Boy, like Gearhead and little Gracie. Perhaps Sammy should seek Rose's help, Vera suggested. And so Sammy set off to Rose's last known location, the top of the world ski resort on the edge of the Savage Divide. Somehow Sammy wasn't surprised that Rosalind, or Rose, as she liked to be called, was yet another cantankerous robot. Rose wasn't interested in Sammy's problems. If Sammy wanted Rose's help, Sammy was going to have to improve Rose's ability to broadcast her radio signal beyond the limited confines of the Savage Divide. Since Sammy had no idea where Gearhead or Gracie were, he could see some sense in this course of action, and he promised to help if he could. His first task took Sammy to search for ex-Army Major Darian Jones, whose lifeless body Sammy discovered near the Seneca Rocks Visitor Center. Sammy noted that the signal repeater schematics on Jones's body called for both a duplexer and a transponder, which, with Rose's help, Sammy was able to find in a crumpled boxcar at the North Appalachian Railroad Yard, and the transponder in a crashed airliner near Helvetia. Sammy cursed Rose's name under his breath for not warning him about the sentry bot that kept watch over the NAR train yard. If she could see everything as she claimed, how could she possibly miss a sentry bot? Fortunately, the super mutants guarding the Horizon wreckage were very little challenge for Sammy. On Sammy's return to Rose, he was surprised to find that her list of requirements had grown. Sammy began to suspect that either Rose was testing Sammy or trying to kill him. Her second set of demands had him crafting a ridiculous syringer rifle. From what Sammy had learned about the creatures of Appalachia, this toy of a weapon would clearly get him killed. Sammy shot the Yagwai with a syringer as Rose had instructed, but then proceeded to destroy the Yagwai with his automatic weapons. Next was explosive bait, which Sammy made and chucked out to the third green at the White Springs golf course. Smoke poured out of the bait, yet no creature appeared, but still Rose seemed pleased with the results. Finally, Sammy found himself addressing a Deathclaw with a friendly voice as he fired his two-shot Gatling gun into the angry beast, who clearly had no desire to make a human friend. His final task involved stealing from the supermutants at Relay Tower EM-B127, though the mutants claimed that "these hills are ours now, Human." Sammy disagreed and said so with his mighty rocket sledgehammer. Sammy resolved then and there to beat the ever-living crap out of Rose when he returned, and yet as Rose began to explain the history of the raiders in the area, Sammy thought better of the idea, at least for now. The raiders, Rose explained, originated from a collection of wealthy tourists who were trapped at the White Springs Resort when the Great War began. Originally nonviolent, the White Springs survivors waited for help from the U.S. government or the military. When none came, the survivors looked for help from the recently formed responders, but they too were overwhelmed by refugees arriving daily from other regions of the country harder hit by nuclear war. The failure to get help weakened the democratically elected leader of the survivors, Mr. Harlan McClintock. And so in an act of desperation, the survivors deposed McClintock and aligned themselves with David Thorpe, another wealthy survivor, who promised a new way forward that, he promised, would succeed where the responders and ethical men like Harlan McClintock had failed. And so Sammy grudgingly completed Rose's tasks, gathering code fragments from the 5 gangs that Thorpe had inspired: the Blackwater Bandits, the Trappers, the Diehards, the Gourmands, and the Cutthroats. With his work done, Sammy returned to Rose one last time with a new appreciation for what one man like Thorpe could accomplish. He could do better than Thorpe, Sammy thought, better than Rose or the responders, or even the strange group that his father had joined, a group that called itself the Enclave. Stay tuned for The Locos, a dysfunctional family exploits in Appalachia, Episode 4, Gracie's Cure, on the next on the ASA Podcasting Face Group next Thursday. Sammy will return the week after with Episode 5 on the next Fallout Feed feedback episode. Until then, see you in the wasteland.
Brought to you by Geritol.
Quite a story he's weaving.
Those are awesome.
It's pretty crazy. You guys run around with it seems like you guys meet up with Phil on a semi-consistent basis. Tell me about some of those adventures.
Phil and I just like to go kill big shit together and die a lot.
Have you guys actually run roundtable quests as a group?
Yeah.
Yet? Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. That's fun.
Yeah. We do actually quite a few of the roundtable quests I've done with either one other person or people. I haven't done very many by myself lately, which is awesome. There's no way I would have been able to do that Wendigo Cave without.
Wendigo Cave, yeah.
Yeah, without.
That was problematic for me when I was level, like 30 or 40 when I tried it with my other character. This character I was a little bit higher leveled, so it wasn't as much of a problem. But seriously, if you're under like level, 30, 40, it can be a really harrowing experience in there. It like put you to the test, I guess, really.
Yeah.
Tough area. Ray, we have some email. Well, Phil mentioned he has a 2-shot Gatling gun. That's fucking crazy. That thing probably does 1 billion damage per second. Is that about right? I can't believe that.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I think he's the one that made the ash pile out of the scorched piece up in midair.
Yeah.
You're right.
I would
You're right.
Wouldn't be surprised. That's awesome, Phil. Gatling gun or Gatling laser? Did you say Gatling gun? Not sure. That's cool. That's a neat one to have. I don't use big guns often, but if I had a 2-shot Gatling gun, I'd probably get used to it fairly quickly, I think. That's awesome. Thanks, Phil, for the cool feedback. We're looking forward to the continuation of the Loco family. Thanks for sending in that story. Ray, we have an email from Clint that we'd like to get into, but first, I would like to sort of open up the floor for Ray to make a little announcement to our community that we are excited for this opportunity for Ray to be able to express himself here.
Well, so since I've really only been able to be on 3 of the shows on the network.
Yeah, it's really disappointing that you can't be on just absolutely every episode of every podcast that ever comes out from us, Ray. It's kind of sad, right?
Right. And so I decided to do something about that. So I am retiring from my regular weekday job so that I can devote 100% of my time to everything ASA.
Oh, ASA Podcasting has its first full-time unpaid volunteer employee.
Yep. So after 30 years with my company, I am making way for new people to be able to start their career and move up. So I am, as of tomorrow, going to be fully retired. I'll join the honored group of people with nothing to do but play Fallout all the time.
Oh, that sounds so nice. God, I hope video games still exist when I'm, retirement ready.
Oh, me too. I look forward to it.
Yeah. So you and Michelle can sit and game all day together. That'll be great.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming, and I'm looking forward to having time to get a little more in depth in modding. See what kind of trouble I can get into there.
Yeah. I was gonna say, does your wife expect you to be doing so much more modding here, or is this?
Well, I think she may have a list of stuff for me to be working on, but
let's do let's get to all the problems around the house now. That you're actually retired, let's get this house ready for us to. Now that's another question. Are you planning on sticking around where you are, or is retirement going to bring forth a new segment, a new adventure to your life?
No, we'll stay put here. It's where we live is really centered around where our youngest child is at. He's the last great hope for additional grandchildren. So my wife won't let him get too far away.
Pressing that thumb. Yeah. That's great. Well, congratulations. Our deepest expression of joy for you, Ray. That's so awesome. I can't help but admit that I am slightly jealous, and
I'm super jealous.
20 years, 25 years before I'm ready. It's just like, oh God.
Oh no.
Really? Come on. No, but that's great, Ray.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and that's really really awesome, and that's just really super duper. All right, Alex.
And we can go as long as we want on feedback shows because
there you go.
I won't have to worry about getting up in the morning to go to work.
And I'll be like, hey, Ray, we got an email. It is 30 pages of single-spaced narrative story. Why don't you figure out something to do with this?
I think I will.
All right. Yosemite, we're not actually sure. We don't know how to attack this quite yet. We got an email, everyone, that is a really lengthy, super beefy story, but seems to be extremely well written. So we're going to dig into it a little bit more to see if we can some sort of a project. And Yosemite, if you're actually listening to the show and you want to sort of work on something with us, we might do a little bit of segment storytelling or something. I don't know. We'll bounce some ideas around. So get a hold of us. Who sent us in that story. So we'll figure something out probably.
It's going to be epic. I can feel it.
Yeah. We're bouncing around this of course won't happen, but bouncing around the ideas of like the 1940 style radio show or like someone over in the corner making all the different weird sound effects with the voice actors. That'd be really funny.
That would be amazing. And it's it seems like from what I've read, like the perfect story to do it with.
All right.
I'm on board, and Ray has time.
You guys were talking about this on Galentine's Day. You want to see the sound booth over at Bethesda. Sarah, how do they make the sound of the raw bloatfly meat?
We don't want to know.
Some like squishy sound, some guy like pumping his fist in a jar of mayonnaise or something.
Man. We talked all about the worst sound. The mole miners are the worst, I think, of all the sounds. Like all this gross bloatfly, but
yeah, there's a little taste of that in the Rad Rat Ray episode of the terminal velocity.
Gosh, we'll only get to that in like 2 or 3 months from now, probably. Yeah. Speaking of which, we have one from Freighter that's only a couple of minutes long that we'll get to here just in a few minutes. We heard from Alex, who has been nice enough to give us an audio update about that. The update, we're going to call it, because it's the update that Bethesda gives us. What's that article that I can never remember what it's called because I don't read it, which I really should be since we're part of a hosting team that has a Fallout show. One of us should actually read the damn thing. Ray did a couple weeks ago. What's that thing called? Out of the vault?
Inside the vault.
Inside the vault. All right. Well, Alex is going to be our correspondent for Inside the Vault. I'm just going to call it the update.
Good job, Alex. Good job, Alex.
Alex steps up because he knows someone needs to do it, and Andrew is just too damn lazy to do it at all. So let's check in with Alex. See what the update is for this week.
Greetings, Fallout Feed. Alex here, reading off this week's Inside the Vault and offering my biased opinions on the information. Bethesda kicks off by acknowledging everyone who's been wanting more and wanting to know more about the future of Fallout 76. I believe they made note of this because the past Inside the Vaults have barely had any information at all. Various community forums have been restless, thirsting for information on upcoming PvE content. Bethesda continues mentioning the quote-unquote survival mode, which is basically the same game we've been playing, but with zero PvP restrictions. So basically it's garbage, and I will not be participating in it. On a lighter note, Wild Appalachia has been announced. It will be a PvE-based series of weekly updates for those who seek adventure through quests, events, and other features. It also says that some new camp and crafting content will come with it. That's great. I have great anticipation for Wild Appalachia because it sounds like the sort of content that I would love to play. Next, Patch 6 will occur next week. Few patch details are as listed. Stash limit will increase to 800. This is fantastic. Many have been suffering from the crippling stash limit since beta day 1. I am now optimistic and believe we will reach 1,000 stash space by this May. For now, 800 is a nice step in the right direction. Next, the two variants of grenade launchers are going to be moved into the heavy guns category. I don't care about that, so moving on. Accidentally damaging another player's camp will no longer tag you as wanted. You can still become wanted if you actually destroy a piece of one's camp. This is a good change, but it's nowhere close to what I would prefer. I'm tired of living in fear of griefers who decimate innocent players' camps for no reason other than to just watch the world burn. If I have pacifist mode on, no one should be able to destroy my camp. Period. I hope they add real pacifist settings for the true PvE players in the future, because I am tired of that nonsense. Last but not least, quest containers during the Feed the People and Path to Enlightenment events now only accept quest items. So, don't suppose I can get those 1,500 5.56 rounds back, please? That was a painful loss. Anyway, this is a great fix to a problem that should have never existed. Finishing up this week's Inside the Vault, they announce live streaming through Appalachia. Bethesda's community team will be live streaming on Twitch and Mixer. The first stream is scheduled for Friday, February 2nd from 2 o'clock p.m. till 3 p.m. Eastern. That's during work hours for me, so I'll have to watch it later that evening. I definitely plan to check it out, and I hope they do a lot more of those streams and that they will help the health of the community. That concludes this week's Inside the Vault. I have been Alex, and I'll see you at Watoga for some big corrupt corporate money deals. Hey there, one fix to what I said about the live stream. I said February 2nd. That is past, obviously. I meant to say February 22nd. Correction made.
Next. Right on, Alex. Thank you, sir.
I need that every week. So, Alex, you're now in charge of that. Thank you very much.
Okay, I have a huge fucking issue with the grenade rifles. He said it doesn't affect him, so it doesn't matter. It also doesn't affect me. But if I were someone who uses this and they pulled this sort of BS and switched my grenade rifle to heavy guns, I'd be very upset. Do you know why I'd be very upset? Because all the perk cards I would have invested would have been in for that, whatever it used to be in rifles or whatever, to make it better. But now it's a heavy guns. They better also let me revert those fucking cards back and put those in heavy guns instead of riflemen or whatever.
Right.
That's a bunch of bullshit. If that, I would be livid about that if I were invested heavily into that style. And that was the weapon I was using. I know that that's probably not a large percentage of the people out there, but for those few people who use that grenade rifle or whatever the fuck it's called, and have all those perk cards invested in it, that's incredibly maddening.
That's pretty crappy because you can't really. I mean, you can respec, but just wasted all those points.
Levels,
Takes a while.
You waste levels doing that now. Where you should be able to be getting different cool cards. Now you have to spend that time.
Yeah, that's shitty.
Your special, which is dumb. What do you say about he lost a bunch of rounds in a container at the lighthouse or something? The Mothman thing? What?
So the containers at Feed the People, and then I've totally lost which other event it was. You can only put quest items in them. So it sounds like he was stashing 5.56 rounds in those containers. Is Feed the People Mama Dolce's?
Yeah, and then the other one I think was the lighthouse with the Mothman thing.
Yeah. Alex, why are you stashing 5.56 rounds at Mama Dolce's? This is my question. I guess you got to stash things anywhere if you're Alex and you have everything on the planet in your inventory, maybe.
Yeah, when you're level 250, you'll need
Oh.
everything at once too.
He said accidentally. It would swallow your wanted things accidentally.
Oh, that's no fun.
That is crappy.
That's a shitty one. Ray, we mentioned an email that we actually didn't get into. Clint, thank you so much for your email, sir. Ray, I'm sorry. You haven't actually retired yet, but we're going to start putting you to work.
Okay. All right. So, g'day all. Clint from Brisbane again. Well, Gardner has had an eventful few days. After becoming a fire breather and hearing Hank Madigan's message, she journeyed to the top of the world resort in an area called the Savage Divide. Things weren't quite as nice and green as the forest, but there's work to be done. Getting close, her Pip-Boy picked up a weak radio signal, and listening, Gardner heard something about someone called Rose who needed help. Getting to the base of the structure, the signal came through better, and Rose was telling her that she would not be allowed in unless Gardner helped fix the radio. This entailed finding a schematic, looking for a couple of parts, and then making a signal repeater. The schematics were at Seneca Rock Visitor Center, which, on arrival at a cliff overlooking the facility, Gardner saw it was being guarded by a large Yagwai. Luckily, from that vantage point, she was able to use her hunting rifle and pick it off. In its injured rage, the Yagwai also took care of most of the ghouls, so that was handy. Schematics in hand, she searched for a transponder and a duplexer. The transponder was in the cockpit of a crashed airliner, which is now being used by super mutants as a camp. But approaching from high above again, Gardner was able to jump down into the fuselage, get inside the cockpit, pick up the transponder, and escape without being noticed. The duplexer was a little more difficult, being an erect train, which was guarded by a large and strong sentry bot, as well as a few Sarge Gutsy robots. But once again, running in helped. To start, she took a few shots at the sentry bot, which made it chase her up the cliff. She jumped down and ran around the train, found the right carriage, got the duplexer, ran off into the road again, dodging shots from the Gutsies. Then it was make the repeater and install it in the National Isolated Radio Array, which Gardner found was a large radio telescope. On arrival there, she found the officer was occupied by a very strong super mutant. She snuck by, installed the repeater as per instructions. It seemed to alert a Colonel Gutsy nearby, and things looked bad. However, the Gutsy was distracted by the super mutant, and Gardner watched from well back as the two fought it out. The Gutsy won, and luckily was weaker from the fight, and a bit easier to take out. That meant Gardner could get into the office to divert the power to the repeater. That made Rose happy, so now Gardner was invited up to the top of the world, where she found Rose to be a reprogrammed Miss Nanny robot, who was apparently the last of the Raiders. Now, Gardner was definitely interested in the Raiders, and Rose was keen to make her learn about all of them. So the next few days sounded like it was going to be fun. Turned out not so much. For start, there was an office. There in the office was the body of Hank Madigan. Apparently, Rose knew the location of the scorch detector uplink he was searching for, but needed to gain Gardner's trust before letting her know where it was. So what followed was a series of tests emulating the 5 factions of the Raiders, and they included the cutthroats, where she used a syringer to shoot a Yagwai. She managed by shooting it, then hiding into the lookout structure until it calmed down, She got it. She got away with just a few scratches. The trappers, where she was to make some explosive bait, she made the bait and went to where she knew were some wild dogs, and it worked quite well. The diehards, where she had made friends with the Deathclaw, of all things. So she found one on a cliff ledge, went up to it, held out her hand, which of course it nearly took off. Gardner ran away and jumped off the cliff and got away.
Good job.
Luckily, the beast was not necessary. Killing the beast was not necessary to Rose. The Blackwater Bandits, where she was to steal a weapon from Super Mutant Camp. Gardner cheated here a little after being discovered trying, and had to kill all the super mutants in the camp. But Rose didn't seem to mind that either. Then the last one were the Gamons, which entailed killing some ghouls and eating one, if you like. Fairly simple. Gardner killed some, but declined the eating part. Rose sort of understood. All of that done, Rose tentatively trusted Gardner now, but asked her to piece together several fragments to make the master key to a stash of loot that apparently contained the uplink Gardner needed. This involved a lot more running around and fighting a lot. First to a mine where some ghastly mole miners made life difficult. Then Trapper Camp, where it was nice and empty. The next place was Hunterville, which definitely not, as several mutants made life difficult. She managed to kill one, but one kept running away and hiding whenever she shot at it. Well, as long as it keeps its distance, that was okay with Gardner. Sunny Top Ski Lanes was next, where more super mutants to deal with. Then to a sort of meditation center where she was invited to light some incense or something. She declined and kept on with the job at hand. The scorched in the meditation center certainly needed some meditation, though. They were quite savage and caused Gardner to make several tries to get the backup holotape she needed. After that, there was a golf course where some robots expected her to become a servant. Very weird and quite distracting from her goal. She found that she had to locate the Gormon's leader in a cave. Things were getting quite difficult now, and after several tries, Gardner found somewhat a unique way of getting the key out of the cave. One more place was Big Fred's Barbecue, where she found Dave wandering about as a scorched on his own. Apparently, someone else had been there not long before Gardner and wiped out all the other scorched inhabitants. Gardner was happy to take the good luck where she found it. Back to Rose, she handed over the fragments, but Rose needed one more holotape from a raider named Rosalind, who had been killed or captured in Charleston before it was destroyed. Gardner eventually found the tape, but Rose happily told her that it was just a wild goose chase. What she had thought, to Rose could get the loot first. Such treachery. Gardner has decided that being a raider is not what she thought it would be, if Rose is any indication, so her fascination with them has ended. Back to the top of the world, Gardner was directed to where the rest of the loot might be, and finding a key card under the mat, made it in the room and found the scorched detector uplink that she needed. But sad to say, it was broken. It looks like Gardner will have lots more work to do. With any luck, she will see you in the wasteland. A couple of little addendums here. If you're wondering about Gardner's unique solution to the Wendigo cave, which I was, this was hit upon after several failed attempts and not being able to kill the Mirelurk Kings, let alone the Wendigo, as a level 20 alone and no power armor. The method was to go in and take out the first couple of ghouls, then just run past the Mirelurk Kings. They chase you as you run and find the Wendigo. They all fight amongst themselves, but to make sure that you get one shot in on the Wendigo, so that when the Kings kill it, you can loot the key from the body. Get out, and let's see. To get out, just face the Kings, let them kill you. You'll be able to respawn outside the cave. Because the key is not junk, you get to keep it in your inventory.
Kaboom.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep. Also, make sure you carry no junk into the cave and pick up nothing in there, as you don't want to have to go back into it after to get your death bag.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my wife Charlene has taken up playing 76 with me.
Nice.
We started 2 new characters from scratch, as this is our first ever RPG attempt, and I didn't want to bring down high level opponents as one of my other characters. The characters are Bobby and Frida, two girls who grew up together in the vault and are best friends forever. Bobby, that's me. I know I'm playing a female again. Has a little more, has a little more worldly experience and is bringing Frida up to speed on surviving in the wasteland. That is to say, I'm helping Charlene cope with the online RPG. We're doing the main quest as a team, which is quite different from my solo experience. One aspect we are using is, let's see, one home camp, but have the other very basic camp available to drop in anywhere when we need to fix things or go to a stash box without dismantling the home camp. It might be interesting for future sessions of the Fallout feed to have 4 players team up and play the whole game that way. It would take some scheduling for sure. Just an idea. That's it from Brisbane this week, but I'm sure we'll meet you in the wasteland.
The whole intentions with the 76 roundtable was be like, oh yeah, every time I'm going to play these roundtable quests with, the people from the roundtable. That's why it's going to be fun to talk about. But just in order to plan a time where we can run all 3 quests for one play session is almost a possibility with someone, let alone trying to do that for a whole season, unless it's in your situation where you live with your wife who now also plays. That is the perfect situation where you could do something like that.
Yeah, I think the biggest
idea.
thing.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say the thing we run into that makes it so hard is all the time zones, let alone people's schedule.
Yeah, there's a double whammy with people being on the other side of the earth from us.
What'd you have, Will?
Well, I was just going to say that idea of having one larger home camp where that's a little bit more elaborate, and then you could have another smaller one to move around with the other character if you can always play together is pretty awesome.
Yeah, there should be a settlement and a camp. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like a little tent and sleeping bag set up that you can move around with you, but there's like a settlement you can go back to as your big building zone or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be nice.
I approve of that. I would like that. Thank you for the great email, Clint. We love hearing from you, and have a good holiday this weekend. I believe you're on. So let's go on and check in with Freighter. Freighter has chimed in with some Fallout Terminal Velocity for us. So let's see if I can pull this up. Here we have Freighter with some Fallout Terminal Velocity. Thank you, Freighter.
I found another holotape for Radiation Rebecca about the Scorched. This one looks like it was recorded by an overseer from Vault Tech. Vault 76.
Overseer's log, Morgantown. I used to love coming here on weekends, taking flight lessons. Now it feels like I walked into a nightmare. Those scorched things are everywhere. I kept quiet. They didn't see me. I managed to observe them for a bit. Whatever this disease is, it seems to completely take over its host. The ones that used to be human, eventually they go rigid, like some kind of stasis. And if they stay like that for too long, they sort of burn up from the inside out. Vesuvius verse. I wondered what could possibly cause all this. And then I got my answer. It swooped down from the sky, screeching, breathing, infecting everything. I don't know how to fight this. But we need to consider all our options. Even the nukes. Find the source of this scorched plague and wipe it from the map before it can leave Appalachia. But first things first, we can't let the disease spread to us. Looks like the responders were developing some kind of inoculation. I'm going to pick up their work. You should too. This is the Overseer. Signing off.
Thank you, Fireball Freighter, for another wonderful submission to our project, Fallout Terminal Velocity. If you are interested in participating in the Fallout Terminal Velocity project, like to read some terminals or play some holotapes for us, please contact Radioactive Rebecca over at Fallout Terminal Velocity at outlook.com. And she has a whole spreadsheet set up. You guys can just gab about whatever terminals you guys want to cover. It's wonderful stuff. We're actually getting close to running out, so we need another batch of submissions. If you've submitted before, or if you've been sitting on the fence and wondering if you should, please go ahead. Now is the time. We need another batch of submissions, so go ahead and hop over there, talk to Radioactive Rebecca, get it all organized. And speaking of getting organized, I'd like to also mention the Fallout 76 swap meet that we have going over here. Please join the Facebook group because we have actual names going up on this spreadsheet, and we don't want to invite any malfeasance or whatever into our little group here. So join the Facebook group if you'd like to participate in the swap meet. We have a couple of people offering items, a few people wanting a few things. Let's see. What are the highlights here? We have people offering black titanium scrap, power armor modding services from Alex, black titanium scrap from me, gunsmith and grenade launcher armor making from David. All sorts of good stuff here. Stable yellow flux. If you need the yellow, get a hold of Eric, that sort of thing. So if you guys want to hop on here to the spreadsheet and just be like, hey guys, does anybody have know how I can get this and that? So just put up there whatever you're looking for, and I'm sure people can provide you with whatever service you need. You know, we have a lot of people in this group with lots of knowledge and lots of experience, so we can always find out what you need. So hop on in here, and we'll get you all signed up and find whatever items you need, and we'll cut you a good square fair deal. The Fallout 76 swap meet. Look it up. One more thing here, right before we sign off. There was I thought Alex would go into it more here, but we have the whole duped items controversy. We have a reply actually from, I think, someone in the Bethesda community manager here. We have from Bethesda.com and the .net in the community forums. We have a post here from Valseek, who is a community manager. Stated, we've just completed some spring cleaning to rid the wasteland of many items that were created through the abuse of duplication exploits. These actions were highly focused towards a list of over 400 weapon and armor items we identified as common duplication targets. Players who had multiple copies of any of these duped items, whether they attained them using an exploit or by acquiring them from another player, they will find that all but one of each of those items have been removed for their characters. Power Armor was exempt from today's item removals, but we are actively discussing another wave of action to target these items in the future. Additionally, if a player had multiple copies of duped items removed as part of today's actions, we also performed a follow-up search of their account for very large amounts of Nuka-Cola and removed those as well. Finally, during our investigation leading up to these actions, we determined that less than 1% of all Fallout 76 accounts combined across all three platforms needed to have duped items removed. This means that the vast majority of players did not possess multiple copies of these duped items and have had 0 items removed from their characters today. We are still taking aggressive action to eliminate exploits, duplication methods, and other bugs with every patch we release. If you believe you found an exploit or encountered a player who is abusing an exploit, we encourage you to rat everybody out by submitting a support ticket. I added that, rat everybody. We encourage you to report it by submitting a support ticket, and there is a link here. And if I'm smart and I can remember, I'll try to post that link into the group because, I wish I could report the stupid abusers who wreck your fucking nice little cottage you build. Unnecessary. All right. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to get into on this episode of the Fallout Feed? In that case, I would like to thank you, Will, for hopping on this edition. It was very nice to have you. I think you did a wonderful job, and we'd like to have you back sometime soon on the show. Thank you so much for hopping on, and it was a wonderful time.
Thank you. It was much less terrifying than I thought I was going to be. So,
well, yeah, we're nice. We don't bite too hard. It's fine. Ray, congratulations again. That's so awesome. Get ready to life to just open up and to be super productive all of a sudden, right? Without that lousy job thing in the way.
You know, they're such necessary evils.
Yeah, such a terrible thing. But I'm glad you're in a situation where you can get out of it. So, happy day, and have fun at your half day luncheon tomorrow. God, guys, we didn't even get into Valentine's Day. Regional food and treats and stuff. My wife makes me stuffed shells, like pasta shells, like those big ones. She puts lots of flavored Italian stuffed ground beef in there, and bakes a nice sort of like manicotti style with cheese and red sauce. And she puts a heart of the ground beef sauce stuff on top of the cheese layer on top. She puts it in the shape of a heart. And she calls it Captain Beefheart, you guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
Captain Beefheart. So great. It's one of my favorite things, cool traditions. Anybody, Valentine's Day traditions in your house, regional food-wise? Ooh, Will, you're from New Orleans. Do you eat, like, beignets and all that?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Beignets are awesome. I mean, I don't know of a Valentine tradition, but we definitely have all sorts of, weird foods like that, like beignets and pralines, alligator sausage, whatever.
Y'all eat gator?
Yeah, we do. They sell it, in the Superdome. You go see the Saints, you can buy an alligator sausage po' boy.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's great. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
Right on. So thanks again, Will, for joining us. Sarah, thanks you so much for joining us tonight. And from the bottom of my heart, please everyone go listen to that Galentine's Day episode. It's really amazing, and I'm going to encourage those ladies to do that show as often as they would like to. It was a really fun time, and I'm really glad they got to do that. So thanks, everyone, for listening to this edition of the Fallout Feed, and we will see you in the Wasteland.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com, where you will find the Fallout Feed, a Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the Wasteland.